Ms. Stifler, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Agent Bobby Blythe.
Agent Bobby Blythe. Good afternoon, Agent. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Agent, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do. Okay, thank you. This way. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to our jurors?
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Blythe. I'm a special agent with the FBI here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Agent Blythe, how long have you worked for the FBI?
For about 18 years, since June 2008.
And what is your current position with the FBI?
I'm a special agent with the FBI. I'm a part of the FBI's Cellular Analysis Survey Team. I'm a full-time member of that team, and I'm embedded or detailed here to a violent crimes task force in Jacksonville, Florida.
And you mentioned what we're going to refer to as CAST, Cellular Analysis Survey Team.
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury how long you've been a member of the CAST team?
I was certified as part of the Cellular Analysis Survey Team CAST in 2022. I started my training process in June 2019. And during that time from 2019 to 2022, worked with an already certified field asset and went through all of our training processes.
Your previous positions with the FBI?
So my first field office assignment was in New Orleans, Louisiana. I worked a variety of criminal investigative matters from financial crimes to public corruption investigations and civil rights investigations there. And in 2018, I transferred to Jacksonville field office and continued to work on criminal investigations. And in 2022, started working primarily violent crime investigations.
Can you explain to the jury what CAST is?
CAST is a group of about 100 special agents and task force officers across the FBI's field office that specialize in the analysis of phone-based location information and historical cell site location information, the information that comes from the cellular providers that make your cell phones work. We train other investigators, state and local law enforcement, other federal agencies, how to do this kind of work, to use this technology to further investigations, to find phones and the people they belong to. We also help real time on cases to find people, whether it be suspects of crime, missing persons, such as a kidnapped child. And we also work on historical investigations, looking back to see where a phone was or device was in relation to a set of circumstances. And we also provide testimony in court regarding our findings.
You mentioned someone earlier testified about being CAST trained. Do you train other law enforcement agencies outside of the FBI in how to do this type of analysis?
Yes, every year I teach multiple basic classes, a 2-day class to state, local, and other federal law enforcement officers and crime analysts on how to do this type of work, what kind of records you can get from the cellular providers and social media companies to obtain location information to help in an investigation. We also teach an advanced class to state, local, and federal law enforcement as well, and we're required to do so to maintain our professional standards.
What's your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of North Florida with a major in accounting. I worked in public accounting for 3.5 years after graduating from UNF, and I did some post-baccalaureate work to be able to sit for the CPA exam, and I became a certified public accountant during that time as well.
How did you get into this transition from that type of work with the FBI into CAST?
So I knew an FBI agent that I met when I was in high school, actually, and kept up with him through college. I was recruited, went through the application process, and joined in 2008, and went through new agents training.
In order to be a member of the CAST team, can you briefly describe for the jury what specialized training you have to receive related to mobile device location analysis, both historical and real-time?
So we go through over 300 hours of classroom and practicals-based training, basically going from a basic class to an advanced class, a critical incident readiness exercise that simulates a command post environment. Let's say there's a child abduction or a mass shooting, and we're trying to identify a suspect device and track that device. So we simulate that in an exercise. We also go through a 4-week certification course that includes a class from a PhD professor from the Florida Institute of Technology in radio frequency theory as it relates to cellular networks. And we go through the technology from the infancy of cell phones, 1G, all the way to 5G, what's currently deployed. And what's special about it is we also receive training directly from the cellular providers, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and US Cellular, from both their network engineers and their court order legal compliance personnel to tell us about the technology they have deployed, how their networks work. We can ask them questions, and they tell us about what kind of records they keep and how to obtain them.
Approximately how many times in your career do you believe that you have analyzed call detail records with location information, historical, I'll start with that, historical records?
More than several hundred times.
And have you ever in your career tracked successfully a suspect or missing person using these records in real time?
Yes, numerous times.
Can you give us an example? I know recently you tracked a suspect in a local shooting at the Players Championship course.
Yes, there was a double homicide near the Players Championship this year. We were able to track the suspect's device to an area within a very short period of time of providing that information to investigators. They were actually able to locate the abandoned phone and see where that was located, and then we were moved on to exploiting other means to try to locate that suspect. I've also located missing endangered children who've been kidnapped, the suspects involved in those kidnappings, missing persons who've been deceased to find their remains, and also been able to verify where suspects of crime have been looking backwards by seeing where their device was and then corroborating that by pulling video at that location or seeing them on surveillance.
And you mentioned that part of your job duties are also to testify in court. How many times have you testified in court related to your work as an expert witness?
About 55 jury trials in state and federal court.
Your Honor, at this time, the state is intending to elicit opinion evidence from Agent Blythe as an expert in his field, and I would allow the defense any voir dire.
Any questions?
Oh, no questions, and we agree that he's an expert in his field.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay. Agent Blythe, we're going to give the jury a little bit of an education. Can you explain how cell towers work?
Yeah, so on the left, you can see 4 common configurations of cell phone towers, as they're commonly called in our area. There's a traditional metal pole with 3-sided array of antennas on top that you can see at the top left. They can be disguised as a fake tree or other items. There's a flagpole on the top right, or they can be mounted on different sides of a rooftop to create the 3 sides of a traditional cell phone tower. On the right side, you'll see a diagram. It shows the directions on a compass, north, south, east, and west, and also shows the degrees. At the center, you'll see an overhead image of a cell phone tower from above. There's a dot at the middle of that. So on the maps you'll see today, you'll see a dot like that. That represents the exact location on Earth of the base of that cell phone tower. And then you'll also see these wedges here that represent the outline of a sector as designed by the provider to give coverage in a specific geographic area. Those sectors or sides of the tower are aimed in a particular direction called an azimuth. They use the degrees on a compass to aim the center of those sectors. And so I use that information about where the tower is located and how they're aimed, how many degrees on a compass that the center line of that sector is aimed, to create a visual representation of the cellular network activity for that device and an approximate location.
And I should mention that this is States Exhibit 182. This is the introductory slides in your report, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yes.
So the towers are divided into sectors. How does the division into sectors produce location data in call detail records or call records?
So most of the towers in the United States are divided into 3 sectors. So if we only had the tower, we could just draw a dot on a map and say the phone used that tower. But with sector information, we know which side or sector of the tower the phone used at a given time for a specific communication. So we can draw that outline of that sector and show what side of the tower the phone used, which shows a more precise location than just knowing that the phone used the tower by itself. And also just wanted to point out that on the sectors you'll see drawn, there's this arch and a shaded area on the inside. That's simply meant to emphasize the direction of coverage that's being provided by that sector and doesn't indicate the exact location or coverage area of the tower or the location of the exact location of the phone.
So on this next slide, is this how you display what you were just speaking about, that coverage, location, direction?
Yes, this is one of those sectors plotted on a map. You see the green dot that represents the location of the cell phone tower, and then the red wedge indicates which sector, in this case the sector pointed at 0 degrees true north, that the phone used for that particular event. You'll also see other towers on the map. Those are there as a point of reference. We call them reference towers. It's other towers in the cellular network that weren't used at that specific time, but they help aid in the estimation of the coverage area of the towers and sectors that were used.
Does a cell phone or device always select the closest tower?
Not always, but it usually does. Cell phones are constantly scanning their environment, measuring signal strength and quality, and the phone itself for incoming or outgoing phone call actually picks the tower with the best signal. That usually ends up being the geographically closest tower, but there can be exceptions, such as man-made or geographic barriers in between your phone and the line of sight to the closest tower.
What we're just talking about is what we would consider cellular location data. So can you explain to the jury what the difference between cellular location data is and something called timing advance data?
So cell site data, or called detail records with cell site, let's say a phone call, you have information about the tower and what side or sector was used on that tower for that phone call. Timing advance is a different data set that provides a calculated distance that the phone was from the base of the tower. So with that information, we can draw that calculated distance across that 120-degree sector, and we, for the 4G context technology, we map those as 78 meters wide. And so you draw that 78-meter wide band or arc across the sector, and the majority of the time you'll find that phone inside that shaded area. The way that it works is that the tower sends a signal from the tower to the phone, and the phone relays it back to the tower. The network runs a stopwatch on that relay, and then you use a simple equation to calculate the distance that the phone was from the tower based on how long it took the signal to get to and from the phone. The reason that's there is you can think of a crowded movie theater. Let's say there's an emergency in the theater, like a fire, but there's only one exit. If everyone goes out that one exit, tries to go out at the same time, there'll be a tragedy. If there's someone to designate who goes out, which row goes out at what time, sequentially, then everyone can get out safely. It tells the phones when they have to send signals so that they arrive within the right time window. It's critical for cell phones to work. The cellular providers have, in our training, have told us that for your cell phone to operate and function, timing advance has to work. And it provides much more precise location information than just tower and sector.
So I want to kind of break this down for the jury. If we're talking about cellular location information, does that require somebody to be actively using, meaning either sending or receiving text messages or making or receiving phone calls to generate data of which tower and sector is being used?
No. So although timing advance can be created based on phone calls, data sessions, or text messages, it's also independent network signaling independent of any user-initiated activity.
So if you were looking for active cellular usage, someone would have to be using their phone to create that activity. But if we're talking about timing advance, my phone can be sitting here without me doing anything on it, without receiving any texts or calls, and it still can be creating those timing advance measurements to the cell tower.
Yes.
Okay. When you are mapping cell phone data, what kind of records do you need in order to do that?
So in the productions from the cellular providers, we need the call detail records with cell site, the data sessions with cell site, if it's available, the timing advance files, and we also need a cell tower list, a list of from the provider that gives the locations of all the towers and other information about the tower and the sectors, like what direction that each side of that tower faces.
And in this case, and many of your cases, do you receive those records from the cell phone providers via a search warrant?
Yes.
The government or law enforcement, the state, we can't just subpoena them. They have to be through a search warrant issued and approved by a judge.
Correct. The legal standard for quite some time now is that it requires a probable cause search warrant from a judge to obtain this historical cell site location information because it allows one to track the movements of one's device.
So in this case, did you analyze both cell tower location information, meaning these maps here on page 5 that show what azimuth and what sector of a tower is being used, as well as timing advance showing that same information but with a distance from the tower? Did you have both types of data available to you in this case?
Yes, for one of the devices.
Do phone companies keep this timing advanced measurement data as long as they keep other cellular data?
No, they don't.
Do you know what the retention periods are for cell providers in general?
I do, yes.
And what are those?
So for timing,
Okay. Or do you want to ask a,
I mean, I can ask it differently.
okay.
Have the retention periods for these carriers changed since 2022?
yes,
Do you know what they were in 2022?
yes.
And what are they? What were they in 2022? Let's start with T-Mobile. What was their retention rate in 2022?
For timing advance, it was 90 days.
So if an officer does not get a search warrant for a specific phone number because they haven't identified it or it's not part of the investigation, 90 days after an event, timing advance would not have been available for a T-Mobile number in 2022.
No.
What about AT&T in 2022?
In 2022, AT&T did not produce timing advance information to law enforcement pursuant to search warrants. They've since have begun doing so.
Did you receive another type of data to analyze in this case, Google location history?
Yes, I did.
And can you explain to the jury where Google location history comes from?
So Google location history comes from the phone's operating system, the location services function on your phone. The phone is a very smart device that has a function feature called location services. The applications running on the phone are constantly asking location services, assuming it's turned on, for location information. The Weather Channel app needs to know what part of town generally you're in, so it asks for a more broad or more approximate location. But when, let's say, you get in Google Maps and want to navigate to a specific location, it wants the best location information, which is going to be usually your phone's GPS receiver or Wi-Fi based location information. So when the applications on your phone or using Google products themselves are querying the phone's operating system for locations, those locations are provided to the applications. If you're opted in to timeline or location tracking with Google, then that information at this time was transmitted and stored in Google servers, and it's also stored in your phone's operating system.
We have 3 types of data available in this case. You have your cell tower information like we see here on slide 5, timing advance data that you mentioned you were able to obtain for one of the numbers you analyzed, and Google location history. Can you explain to the jury I'll start with this one. How precise is this data, and can you provide an exact location for a device, beginning with cell site location information?
So tower and sector, cell site information is an approximate location. Well, how approximate? It depends on the tower density of the geographic area you're located. If you're in downtown Los Angeles, California, where there's towers every 2 or 3 city blocks or more, it's very precise. It narrows it down to a much smaller area. If you're in a rural area where towers are 8 to 10 miles apart, it's a much more broad area if you just have tower and sector. So during let's say a phone call, and you have the tower and sector or side of the tower that was used, the phone has to be somewhere inside the coverage area for that tower and sector. And that's in many ways defined by the tower density.
So if you have cell site location information, you would be able to say that a cell phone is somewhere in this coverage range for this direction for this tower.
Yes.
For timing advanced, how much more precise or how much more exact can you give a location for a specific device?
Yeah, so we know that generally the phone's going to be somewhere inside the shaded area of the 78-meter wide band that we can draw across that sector based on the calculated distance. And we also know that the phone, because of various variables in the real world, we know that the phone could be 1 to 2 bands inside of that.
And then for Google location history, can you provide a more precise or more exact location for a device with this type of data?
Yeah, so this in Google oftentimes is able to assign or show a confidence radius for the location based on which is in many cases related to the source of that location information. GPS, global positioning system data, being the best, usually 3 to 10 meters. So that's going to be a much more precise location on Earth about where that phone is. So let's say you have a 10-meter confidence radius location. You have a latitude and longitude. You can draw that specific point on a map, and then you would go 10 meters out on one side from that location and then draw a circle all the way around that location. That's the confidence radius, and you can see an example of that here on the right.
Thank you, Agent. In this particular case, did you receive phone records, including cellular location history, timing advance, and Google data specific to 3 phone numbers and 1 email address?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Actually, I'm going to use the evidence card for this. Okay. Agent, I'm showing you Exhibit 206. This is a chart of phone numbers and email addresses. It's been entered into evidence. And
Is it published?
yes, been entered into evidence. So we're beginning with, was one of the numbers, one of the phone numbers and associated individuals records provided to you, the phone number here, 904-566-2633, belonging to a Mario Fernandez?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also receive 2 phone numbers belonging to 2 different devices with 2 different IMEIs for an individual by the name of Henry Tenon, and the numbers here, 904-801-7612, 904-442-0513.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you also provided Google location information for an email address, henrytenon53@gmail.com?
Yes.
And lastly, were you provided cellular location information for an individual by the name of John Biggerstaff at 904-517-6322?
Yes.
Mr. Biggerstaff had an AT&T phone number, so you did not have the ability to obtain timing advance data for him. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
And for Mr. Fernandez, you received a 30-day time period, or I think a few different time periods of timing advance data, as well as cell site location information.
Yes.
For Mr. Tenon's phone numbers, you received cell site location information.
Yes, that's correct.
And Mr. Fernandez and Mr. Tenon both had T-Mobile phone numbers.
Yes.
And then Google data, how long in 2022 was that data retained, the location data?
Well, it depends on the user. So the user, I've seen in investigations, even in my own location history, exploring this myself and my own data, it can be there for years.
There is more control because it's not held by a third party. It's actually contained in your phone or your Google Cloud. You can delete data if you want. You can retain it. You can alter the retention lengths yourself for that type of data.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to show you some items that were provided to you to do your analysis, beginning with states exhibits. Stickers are covered up. 180. It's a disc with a letter from AT&T, the toll records for John Biggerstaff.
Yes, ma'am.
States Exhibit 179, toll records and a certification from T-Mobile for Henry Tenon. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then a disc of toll records and a T-Mobile certification for the phone records and timing in advance records for Mario Fernandez.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you also received Google data, location data from a Google return from Mr. Henry Tenon, States Exhibit 181.
Yes.
And lastly, the detectives provided you as well to include in your mapping some license plate reader reports from the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office for a specific date, January 29th, 2022.
Yes, that's correct.
Using the records in front of you, did you plot maps for the cell phone numbers for the individuals Mario Fernandez, Henry Tenon, and John Biggerstaff, as well as the Google data for Mr. Tenon?
Yes.
Are you also provided by the detectives that request you to do work geographic points of interest, specific addresses, or longitudinal and latitudinal positioning?
Yes.
And in this case, were you provided some addresses to include 1511 Marsh Inlet Court, a longitude and latitudinal coordinates associated with an area called Pablo Hamlet, 5239 Potomac Avenue, Elite Gymnastics, St. Johns County, 182 Fresnel Lane, and 2180 Derringer Circle?
Yes.
When you receive those phone records that you have up there, states 178, 179, 180, if the jury were to open them, they would see the time and dates of the cellular activity and timing advance is in something called UTC. Can you explain
Yes.
to the jury what UTC means?
UTC stands for Universal Coordinated Time, for short, and you can think of it as being similar to Greenwich Mean Time. So to get from UTC time to local time here, this time of year we subtract 4 hours. During standard time, after we fall back, you subtract 5 hours.
And did you make those adjustments when mapping this data?
Yes.
When you're mapping data for the time period at the top, do you include all or most of the cellular data for that time frame in your mapping?
Yes, unless I indicate otherwise.
And if there is no data for a specific time period for a phone, did you also indicate that on these maps?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're going to go through your report. It states Exhibit 182. Did you prepare these maps in conjunction with a request from the Jacksonville Beach Police Department regarding the murder of Jared Bridegan.
Yes.
Do you actually participate in the investigation of the cases that you're working, or you just look at data?
So usually I'm brought in to look at the historical cell site and other phone-based location information to provide context and show where devices were in reference to specific places at specific times pertinent to the investigation. Sometimes I might be asked for advice about what type of location information can be obtained from certain providers, but that's usually what it's limited to in these types of cases.
You don't participate in interviews or help collect evidence or make any kind of determinations as to how an investigation will proceed, other than maybe requesting additional data that you would need to map locations. All right, let's go through your slides. Beginning with slide 8, you were asked to map cellular location data for the phone number 2633, Mr. Fernandez. And I should say at the beginning of your report, the jurors will have a little easier time. You do them by color coding. So on this map, we're going to have Mario Fernandez is going to be indicated in pink, Mr. Tenon's devices in green and in black, Mr. Biggerstaff's device in blue, and then Mr. Tenon's are going to be those red little bubble dots indicating Google data.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So beginning with slide 8, you were asked to map cellular location information for Mr. Fernandez on January 5th of 2022. First of all, were you provided with timing advance data for this time period?
For January 5th, I don't recall the specific date it cut off, but later in January, I know there was timing advance, and in February, we had timing advance.
And if the request for the data was made more than 90 days, like, for example, if the police didn't realize this date was significant until 90 days after it had passed, there would not be timing advance available for you to map.
Correct. So as soon as investigators learn of a device, they can only go back 90 days before that to get timing advance. So if there's a date pertinent to the case that falls below that, before that 90th day, that information is going to be have been purged from T-Mobile's systems. So it just won't be available.
So in this map, we're seeing cellular data, which means that we're only going to have data points when a phone is communicating with a tower being used in some manner.
Correct.
So here we see Mr. Fernandez's device has 2 cellular activities for this time frame. Can you describe for the jury what you've mapped?
Yes, this is a visual representation of the cellular network usage of target cell phone 2633 in pink. There's a incoming phone call that went to voicemail at 10:56 a.m. Utilizing the tower and sector just north of the Jacksonville Beach sign on the map, facing to the west. And at 11:51 a.m., the target cell phone utilized the tower and sector just north of the Baptist Medical Center Beaches sign on the map, also facing to the north and west for an outgoing phone call.
And these other green dots that I'm circling here, those indicate the location of other T-Mobile cell towers back in 2022.
Yes.
And when you map cell location towers, towers can change, they can build new towers, move them. Do you always use the tower list from the year that you're mapping?
Yes, we use the tower list closest in time to the time of the incident because the network changes over time.
Moving on to slide 9, we have a map here for a phone number 7612 associated with Henry Tenon and Google location data for henrytenon53@gmail.com for January 5th, 2022. And before we get started, I want to ask about this box up here. That is in reference to Mr. Fernandez's phone number 2633. What does that mean?
Yes, there's no mappable activity for the target cell phone during that time frame with tower sector information.
So we can say this device, the data for this day that was available for you to map, we can say the device is in the Jacksonville Beach area between 10:56 a.m. and 11:51. For this time frame, we have no data to say where that phone's located.
So cell site are snapshots in time. So they show an approximate location. I can show an approximate location based on those usages on the previous slide for those 2 specific points in time.
So for Mr. Tenon's cellular device and his Gmail account, which was linked to one of his cellular phones. Can you explain what your mapping indicates to you, in your opinion, based on your training and experience?
So this shows the movement of the target device, the device using the Gmail account, and the target cell phone 7612 in green, away from the Tenon residence, the area of the Tenon residence, 5239 Potomac Avenue, south and east, and then east towards the Jacksonville beach area by 5:57 and 11 p.m., indicated here on the right side of the map.
And this flag you have here corresponds with the legend. That was an address provided to you by detectives in the case.
Correct.
Same with the, what we're going to call Fernandez residence, the location of interest as Pablo Hamlet, and the location of the crime scene on Sanctuary Boulevard South.
Yes.
And we're getting a more close-up view of Mr. Tenon's Google location data on January 5th. Again, we see this box here. And can you explain again what that means as it relates to this slide?
Yeah, so there's no mappable activity for 2633, the pink phone, during the time frame. And there's no time in advance available during this date due to the retention period and when the records were obtained.
So no cellular data means that there's no user-generated cellular activity at this time frame.
Correct, or incoming activity that would generate cell site.
So 2633 is not making or receiving any calls, sending or receiving any text messages at this time frame.
So with T-Mobile, they don't retain cell site for text messaging. We'd have to look at those records, but for the phone, there's no phone calls incoming or outgoing generating cell site during this time.
In regards to Mr. Tenon's geolocation data, can you explain to the jury your opinion based on your training and experience what is indicated by this slide?
So this shows the movement of the target device accessing Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com, moving south between 5:58 and 6:06 p.m. along South 15th Street, and then turning on Fairway Lane.
And these boxes indicate the time for this particular point, so these correspond.
Correct.
Slide number 11, this is going, your arrows indicate reverse, so we're going further along in time. So we see activity going this way, and the next slide, the device appears to be moving back where it came from.
Yes, the blue arrow on the slide I've provided shows the direction of movement, and you can see the call-out box for each event next to it with the time and the confidence radius assigned by Google to that location.
So explain to me this R3M here, that is a confidence radius. What does that mean as it correlates to these individual points?
Yes, so the point here that you just circled, that it refers to that point just to the north of the Fernandez residence sign on the map at 6:07 and 34 seconds. It means that Google was able to assign a very precise location, a confidence radius to that location of 3 meters. So that device would generally be found somewhere within 3 meters of that latitude and longitude location.
And then here we have from 6:08 to 6:10 p.m. more location data. Can you explain what we're observing in this slide?
So these are locations that were in the location records for Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com. They show the device between 6:08 p.m. And 6:10:58 seconds. On these, I'm not able to show a confidence radius because the source of, even though one was assigned by Google, the source of the location pull was listed as unknown. So that could mean a variety of things about why it didn't make its way into Google's records, what the source of that location is. But these locations are interspersed with GPS-generated locations, Wi-Fi-generated locations, and as I reviewed them in totality, they track right along roadways in sequence over time and appear to provide accurate locations for that device.
The data points individually, it's hard to draw conclusions of them. Do you look at the totality of the data and the context in which you're viewing it to draw your conclusions?
Yes.
All right, and then 6:10 to 6:57 on January 5th. Again, we have no activity, cellular activity for 2633. Can you explain what we're seeing in this slide as it relates to Mr. Tenon's cellular device and Gmail account?
So the target device for Henry Tenon, 53@gmail.com, and target cell phone 7612, both move back west between 6:10, 6:22, and 6:51 to 6:53, arriving back in this area of just south of the San Marcos sign on the map. You can see a Google location here at 6:51 and 35 seconds, and then a data session for the target cell phone in green at 6:53, utilizing a tower and sector just to the south and west of that more precise Google location. And you can see that tower and sector faces that Google location along Interstate 95 there.
So this is one of those examples of looking at things in totality and context. You have more precise Google location locations, data points, but they are corresponding with these kind of less precise tower readings. But in an area like this, because they're both in the same area, you can conclude that the device is moving in this general track.
Yes, the data sets corroborate one another.
Right, they correspond to one another.
Yes.
And then January 5th, again, we have no activity. We have on 1/6 an outgoing call, but no cellular calls to map for this time frame. And we see that the data points are moving back to the location of 5239 Potomac Avenue. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, January 25th, from 2:39 p.m. to 3:10 p.m., we are looking at AT&T records, which are only available as that cell tower location information for Mr. Biggerstaff, as well as the cell location and timing advance for Mr. Fernandez. So here we're seeing, you explain to the jury how timing advance is going to be indicated in these boxes that's a little bit different than the cellular location information.
Yeah, so in these call-out boxes at the top is the CID number. That's a unique identifier for that tower and the side or sector of that tower that was used for each event. And then below that is the date, the time. This number is the azimuth or degrees on a compass that that sector faces that was used for that specific event. And then next to it is TA, that stands for timing advance, and then the distance, the calculated distance that was obtained from the records as calculated by T-Mobile in the records, and that is visually displayed there with the sector on the map.
And what can you tell me about the co-location, if any, between Mr. Biggerstaff's number here in blue and Mr. Fernandez's number here in pink, their devices?
Yes, so Mr. Fernandez's phone arrived in this area at approximately 3:04:56 p.m. You can see indicated here by the timing advance band. And meanwhile, Mr. Biggerstaff's phone between 2:42 and 3:08 p.m. utilized the tower and two sectors on that tower in the vicinity of 2180 Derringer Circle during that time. So then the timing advance at 3:09 and 3:10 shows a calculated distance for that target cell phone during that time that overlaps geographically with the Biggerstaff residence. So it shows potential co-location of those two devices in that area.
And here on your legend, where you have these addresses labeled Fernandez residence and Biggerstaff residence, that is information provided to you by the detectives in this case.
Yes.
And here we go on January 25th. We've got a 3:10 p.m. to 4:24 p.m. and then we have a 4:26 to 5:56 p.m. I'm going to go through both of these, and what opinions or conclusions are you drawing as to the potential for co-location from these slides?
Yeah, so remember, we don't have timing advance for the AT&T phone. We just have tower and sector. The blue or AT&T phone for Mr. Biggerstaff was utilizing the two tower and sectors located here in this area near McCormick and Monument Road, just to the east of the Biggerstaff residence at 3:26 and 4:24. Then during this time frame, there's multiple timing advance events with 3 different calculated distance, putting the phone in the area here defined by the 3 timing advance bands during that time. So it shows potential co-location of the 2 devices during that time.
I guess I should have specified this earlier, but this little blue dot indicates an AT&T tower, and this little green dot indicates a T-Mobile tower. So the T-Mobile phone would use this one, and an AT&T phone would use this one.
Correct.
And then we see here on slide 17, Mr. Fernandez's phone with a timing advance appears to be leaving what's been labeled as the Biggerstaff residence at 2180 Derringer Circle, and his path of travel is consistent with, in your opinion, a return via roadway back to the Jacksonville Beach area.
Yes, ma'am.
And then on January 25th, 6:27 p.m. to 9:23 p.m., what opinions or conclusions can you draw from this?
Yeah, so the target device 6322 in blue remained in the area through the next morning based on the available location information. You can see here and in the call-out box to the right, the target cell phone primarily used this tower south of the near Monument and McCormick Road during that time frame.
All right, we're going to talk about January 29th, 2022. I'm hoping we'll get through this particular date before we break for the day. So that's what I'm going to try to accomplish. On page 19, you were asked to map location data, timing advance data for Mr. Fernandez's phone, cellular location data for 7612 Mr. Tenon's phone, and Google data points for Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com. Looking at this slide, and the jury has seen it before, can you offer any opinions based on this data here as to whether those 2 devices could be correlated as being in the same area for an overlapping period of time?
Okay, so just to break it down, the target cell phone 2633 in pink between 2 o'clock, which is this timing advance band here in this tower and sector, is moving into this area and at that point and closer to the area of the Tenon residence. There's at 2:02 a timing advance band here with a calculated distance of 0.58 miles from the base of the tower, and then between 2:05 and 2:59 the target cell phone maintains these 2 calculated distances and would be somewhere within these bands between 2:05 and 2:59. At 2 o'clock, the target device for Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com is located basically at the Tenon residence location, or is consistent with being at that location. Then by 2:06 is departing that area and is near the intersection of Old Kings Road and Edgewood Avenue. Then at 2:08, you see cell site usage for 7612 to the east for a data session, and then at 2:10, a Google location along Martin Luther King Jr. Farther to the east. So between 2 o'clock and 2:06, Mr. Tenon's phone moved north and east towards Old Kings Road, and between 2:02 and 2:05, Mr. Fernandez's phone moved into the same area as the Tenon residence and is consistent with potentially being at that location.
So we don't have data for every second or every minute here. The last known point for Mr. Fernandez's phone would be in this bar, or as you said, at 1 to 2 bands within that band?
Yes.
At 2:02. And Mr. Tenon's geolocation data puts him here at 2 p.m. and then here at 2:06. So we've got, presumably there's 4 minutes in here. We don't have a precise location for Mr. Tenon's device. And between 2:02, perhaps within 2 bands, and 2:05, we know Mr. Fernandez is somewhere within this banded area.
Yeah, so there's some possible overlap there for a few minutes during that
Being
short time.
generous, we're talking 3 to 4 minutes. Being conservative, we're talking a minute, perhaps.
Yes, approximately.
So January 29th, we have some movement. We have the geolocation data for Henry Tenon moving south from the Tenon residence into, this is an overview into the Nocatee Greenleaf Village area.
Yes.
And is the times of these data points consistent with, well, you tell me, what does this indicate to you, the time between these data points, the distance and timing between them?
The device was moving in a vehicle at a rate of speed consistent with highway speeds south and east from the Jacksonville area south to the Greenleaf Village area on the map.
All right, and we're going to have a closer up view of some of this activity. This is slide 21. This also, you have mapped here a license plate reader report and location for that corresponds with some of these data points. And again, was this something that the detectives provided to you in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And how is it helpful to you placing, some of these don't have that radius, confidence radius. How is something like this helpful to you in coming to conclusions about data overall?
So it, those types of data sets, it's a location for a vehicle, that is assigned to a specific person. So they help corroborate one another.
And looking at this map, what opinions or conclusions can you draw about the location of Henry Tenon 53 at Gmail on his device for this time frame?
That it moved into the area at approximately 2:46 a.m. here near Racetrack Road, and then moved south, and then east along Nocatee Parkway, then south toward Valley Ridge Boulevard, and then south and east along County Road 210.
And I'm sorry, you said AM, you mean PM?
I'm sorry, PM.
Slide 22, we have another license plate reader report, and that also corresponds with one of your data points. Can you tell the jury what conclusions or opinions you can draw from the data on this slide?
So at 2:45 and 13 seconds, the target cell phone moves, and here is located here. It moves into the area, and so again, this is just zoomed in of the previous time frame we were showing the location of the target device.
On this slide, slide 23, we see 2 areas of interest, and those were provided to you by detectives in this case. One is elite gymnastics at 175 Cumberland Park, and the other is an address that was advised to you to be the location of the deceased victim in this case at 182 Fresno Lane.
Yes.
And can you explain what the data indicates to you from this slide?
So the device remained stationary for a few minutes between 2:56 and 2:59, just east of Interstate 95 along Old County Road 210. Before that, it moved from the north and east near 210 and Beacon Lake Parkway, here, south and west along Old County Road 210.
Slide 24. We have here the area of interest indicated as elite gymnastics. Can you tell us what the data indicates on this slide?
Between 3 o'clock, indicated here along Old County Road 210, where we left off on the previous slide, the target cell phone moves back north and east towards along Old County Road 210, and then turns south, moving towards the elite gymnastics location, moving south of it and by 3:05 and 53 seconds, and then back north up the same route.
And we see here this data point for geolocation as 3:05:53. The next data point, and correct me if I'm wrong, timing-wise, would be this 3:06:40
Yes, ma'am.
here. So 3:05, 3:06, and then 3:07, 3:07.
Correct.
Coming back out this way. Okay. 3:04 to 3:07 p.m. is just a more close-up view of the data we just looked at.
Yes.
Slide 26, can you explain to the jury what we're looking at here?
So this shows the gross movement or travel of the device accessing Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com between 3:08 p.m. and 3:47 p.m., moving away from the area of Elite Gymnastics and the victim residence north back towards the Jacksonville Beach area.
And on that route, we have 3:08 to 3:13. We have an area of interest here. Can you indicate to the jury what the data on this slide is showing you?
This shows an overview on this slide that the target device moved along the blue dotted hashed line that I'm showing here along County Road 210, and then moved south along Beacon Lake Parkway, stopping here along at this intersection of with Beacon Lake Parkway and Linz or Fresno Court, and then moved back north and then north and east away from the area.
And here we have some more data location points showing, I guess, a more zoomed in view and fewer data points from that previous slide. Can you explain what is indicated here?
Yeah, so I just zoomed in and showed a little bit less data points for presentation purposes, and now I'm showing the specific times and confidence radiuses when available for those locations, showing the movement of the target cell phone north and east along County Road 210 west, then south on Beacon Lake Parkway, and then after this point, the phone moves out of it, back north and out of the area.
And here we have in new time order movement from 3:09 to 3:11:00, 3:11:02, and then here, coming back to this data point, 3:11:48.
Yes.
So 48 seconds later.
Yes, ma'am.
So back to 5239 Potomac Avenue during this time frame, we're looking at timing advanced data for Mario Fernandez's cell phone. Can you tell us what is indicated in this slide?
Yes, a lot of data on the left, but this device was receiving a lot of timing advanced signaling during this time frame with 3 different calculated distances ranging from 0.39 to 0.48 miles from the base of the tower between 3:04 and 3:45 p.m., which overlaps geographically with the Tenon residence location. And you can see the shaded area of those 3 bands.
And here we see a bunch of timing advance recorded data, which means what we talked about earlier, your phone communicating without you generating any kind of activity with the tower. Was there any cellular activity, user-generated or user-received cellular activity for this time frame?
No, ma'am, not during this time.
And then here, Mr. Tenon's Gmail location data, again, corresponding with another license plate reader report. And this is in down here from Ponte Vedra for this LPR hit. And what does this indicate to you?
So this is at 3:37 and 47 seconds on January 29th. There's a Google location nearby, very close at 3:37 and 45 seconds. And then that shows that the phone, the device accessing Henry Tenon 53 continued to move north along 3rd Street and then towards the red flag crime scene location.
And here at 3:43 p.m., we have a Google location point on Sanctuary Boulevard South with a confidence ratio of 4 meters. So can you say with a degree of confidence and certainty that that plot point is in particular a pretty precise location,
Yes, ma'am.
indicating that Mr. Tenon's device was at Sanctuary Boulevard South at this time period?
Yes.
And then from 3:48 to 4:23, we see, well, you can tell me what we see, but Mr. Tenon's device appears to be traveling back to the vicinity of 5239 Marsh Inlet. I'm sorry, 5239 Potomac Avenue.
Yeah, so you can see that the target device and 7612 target cell phone in green, they appear to move together. 353 event here, 356 here along JTB or Highway 202, through 403 here near South Point at 95 and JTB. There's a Google location there at 403 as well. Then 409, there's an event from Henry Tenon 53 and also the target cell phone 7612. And then arriving back in the vicinity of the Tenon residence at approximately 4:20 p.m. During that time, target cell phone 2633 in pink utilized the same tower and sector that we were looking at before between 3:48 p.m. and 4:23 p.m. For several timing advance events.
And during this time frame, although Mr. Fernandez's phone is recording those timing advance data, was there any user generated or received cellular data for that time frame?
There's no phone calls to map during that time frame, no.
And here we see that Mr. Tenon's device is located with a confidence ratio of 30 meters at this general location, and you've made that a little bit of a bigger data point. And Mr. Fernandez is in that timing advanced band with a recorded data at least at 4:20:30 and 4:23:34.
Yeah, so within about 18 seconds, there's a timing advance band of 0.44 miles, which is roughly the same distance that the Tenon residence is from the tower.
And here we see, I guess, a more close-up view of that.
Yes.
We see that they are co-located, potentially the device is co-located for a time period of at least 3 minutes. And then here on slide 33, we see the pink phone belonging to Mr. Fernandez beginning to travel away from the residence. Can you describe for us the route of travel?
Yes, ma'am. The phone moved south and east along Highway 23 through the downtown Jacksonville area, and then across the St. Johns River, Matthews Bridge, between 4:25 and 4:37 p.m. Apologize, I accidentally drew that large.
Can you describe to me what this box means? You have both the pink and the green in one box.
During that time, both target cell phones, again, about 3 minutes apart, 421 and 424, both target cell phones use the same tower and same sector.
And then we see that Mr. Fernandez's phone moved from this band to this band with a reading here at 4:25.
Yes.
And that gets us through January 29th. Your Honor, in terms of scheduling, does the jury need a break? Yes.
Okay.
I thought that might be the answer.
All right. How much longer do you think? Should we take a shorter break so you can finish up the day?
Yes.
Okay. We'll take 5 minutes. Just refresh yourselves really quick, and you can buzz when you're ready to come back out. Agent, do you need a break? You want to step out for just a moment?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Please let the record reflect that the jury's left the courtroom. Agent, you can step outside real quick and refresh yourselves. Just don't talk about your testimony, okay?
Right. Rather just let him.
Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone. May be seated. Members of the jury, just so that you know, for scheduling, we're going to try to totally complete the direct examination of Agent Blythe. Okay, so go ahead and continue.
All right, Agent Blythe. So we took a short break. Let's just, top to bottom, just a short recap. January 29th. We have indication that Mr. Tenon's devices traveled from 5239 Potomac down to the Nocatee area, past two areas of interest to include elite gymnastics, and onto Fresnel Lane, which is the same lane where the victim's residence was indicated to you. Up.
Okay, ask a question.
Why don't you do the recap for me, Agent Blythe? We had a little break. Let's refresh on January 29th, and then we'll move on to the next date. Can you tell us overall the path of travel of Mr. Tenon's device, and then I'll ask you about Mr. Fernandez's devices during this time frame.
Yes, during the time frame, to recap, the target cell phone moved, and the device accessing Henry Tenon 53 at gmail.com moved from the Potomac Avenue location south towards the area of the two locations of interest, the elite gymnastics and the Fresnel Lane in the Beach Walk area there. And then the target device moved north to the area of the crime scene, and then back to the Potomac Avenue residence area.
And during this time period, we see on slide 29, can you summarize what the data on this slide indicates to you in terms of Mr. Fernandez's device?
So numerous timing advance events between 3:04 to 3:45, showing that target cell phone is in the same geographic area as the Tenon residence during that time frame.
And we see slight different measurements on some of these data points. Does that necessarily mean that the device is moving?
Not necessarily. So the timing advance signaling goes to and from the phone, and is the distance calculated comes in increments of 78 meters, and so it can be rounded up. And so you can have a device sitting stationary and get timing advance measurements, one or two bands around that location.
And the distances here, the difference between them, we're talking 0.04, 0.05, but that doesn't necessarily indicate the phone is moving that distance back and forth.
No, ma'am.
Is there anything else that you think, based on your analysis of these slides, that I've failed to ask you about this particular date?
No.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to the slides you did for activity on February 15th, 2022. Slide 34, we have timing advance data for 2633, Mr. Fernandez's phone, cellular data for 7612, Mr. Tenon's phone, and some of those Google location points for Henry Tenon 53. Can you tell us what we're looking at in this slide, slide 34?
Yes, so this shows the movement of target cell phone 2633 in pink north along Highway 23 from 931 to 932 to 934 here. Then at 937 excuse me, this one is 9:48, 9:37. The target cell phone was had this calculated distance, and then at 9:44 through 9:45 is here. You see this timing advance band at 9:48, and another two more at 9:47 and 9:58 in this area around the Tenon residence. During that time frame, at 9:31, a few minutes before the 9:34 event with the pink phone, you have for 7612, Mr. Tenon's phone, a incoming call using the same tower and sector that Mr. Tenon's phone, excuse me, that Mr. Fernandez's phone used at 9:34. And between 9:31 and 9:57, there's 9 events with less than 200 meter confidence radius in this area along Highway 23, south of Edgewood Avenue.
Slide 35, we have the same date, February 15th, 2022, but a different time frame, 4:03 p.m. to 4:59 p.m. And can you explain to the jury what the data on this slide indicates to you?
So it shows that target cell phone 2633 between 4:03 and 4:55 p.m. Was located between 0.39 and 0.53 miles from the base of the tower in the area indicated by these 4 timing advance bands. And during the same time frame between 4 to 4:29 and 25 seconds, the target cell phone displayed 5 events with less than 70 meter radius, showing the device was at or near the tenant residence location, and then moved starting at 4:34 away from the tenant residence. You can see this at 4:34, 4:40 here near Old Kings Road and Edgewood Avenue, 4:45 south of Old Kings Road near West 19th Street, and so on. And then returning back towards the direction of the tenant residence by 4:59 near the Shannon sign on the map.
And again, like the slide on the 29th, do the presence of multiple bands here indicate or necessarily mean that that phone is moving distances back and forth?
It could, but it may not be.
And here we see that there is some period of overlap potentially of these devices such that you could you reasonably conclude there's some co-location going on here?
Potential co-location, yes.
And for how long of a time frame would you be comfortable saying?
So certainly between 4 and 4:29.
I'm going to move to the date of the homicide, February 16th, 2022. And we have timing advance data for Mr. Fernandez's cell phone. And here we see some movement. Can you describe for the jury what we're viewing here?
So this is showing timing advance bands from two different towers for target cell phone 2633. The tower here is indicated with the call-out box to the right, events between 5:03 and 5:11 p.m. Those events are the bands drawn here. And you can also see 2 events from the tower located near the Oceanfront Park sign on the map at 5:03 p.m., 1.02 miles from the base of the tower that intersects with the other bands. When you have timing advance bands that intersect geographically, that are close in time, that's where you're going to find the phone, is at that area of intersection.
So intersection gives you some more precise location than just bands would.
Yes.
Can you make any conclusions from this slide as to where the device was most likely located during this time frame?
It was during this time frame. You can see that it's most of the bands, and you have the area of intersection in this area. Most likely the phone is located in this area during most of the time frame, and towards the end of the time frame, the target cell phone utilized these bands a little bit closer to the tower, 0.53 miles from the base of the tower, between 5:10 and 5:11.
Your Honor, given that I expect to cross examine tomorrow, is there a way to preserve a screenshot mechanism? Take a picture of it?
No, I think, do you want him to draw it again? Do you re-annotate?
Between 5:03 to approximately 5:10, target cell phone most likely be found in this area of overlap of the timing advance. Then 5:10 to 5:11, it appears moved a little bit to the east. It's located at a calculated distance 0.53 miles from the base of the tower.
Can you see that? It's red. AJ, is there a way to change the color for the witness? No? Okay. All right.
Can I erase it? February 16th, 5:13 and 5:19 p.m., we see some movements of bands. Can you describe what we're looking at in this slide?
Yeah, so this time frame starts at 5:13 with the phone at 0.63 miles from the base of the tower, which is this closest one that crosses the sector and is on top of the Fernandez residence location at this point on the band. And then you see the next event, the ending event of that is at 0.68, which is the next one farther away from the base of the tower here. Then at 5:15 and 42 seconds, there's the band farther at 1.12 miles from the base of the tower. There's timing advance events from an adjacent tower, and the the long and short of it is that it appears that the target cell phone was moving to the east, or excuse me, west, I'm sorry, based on those timing advance events.
We're seeing in slide 36 and 37, are you mapping all of the timing advanced data points for this particular time frame?
During that particular time frame, yes.
And we see here there's pretty consistent 503, 503, 503, 506, 506, 506, 507. Oh, sorry, Melanie. Sorry, Ms. Simpkins. 503, 503, 503, 506, 506, 506, 507, 4 or 5 times, 508, 510 3 times, 511. So, and on slide 37, we're also seeing every minute or so, we're getting a timing advanced recordation. Is there any rhyme or reason to how a network, how often they take these measurements?
So it depends on the market. It depends on the provider. The technology is generally the same between providers, but it may function slightly differently as far as timing, depending on the provider, depending on the network, and it's a network engineering data set, and it's there to help optimize the network and troubleshoot problems on the network. As a byproduct, it provides this calculated distance that the phone was from the base of the tower, which provides a much more precise location. So it's not going to be necessarily at regular intervals. It can be initiated by phone calls, text messages, data sessions, and when a device begins to move, there's generally, in my experience, begins to be more signaling with the phone when a device begins to move.
If there's regular timing, let me ask you this question too. You don't need to be actively using your phone for timing advance to be recorded. Does the network record these timing advance calculation if a phone is off?
No.
If you place your phone into airplane mode, would the network collect this timing advance data measurement?
No.
February 16th, between 5:21 and 5:45, we see an indication up top that not all timing advance is displayed.
Yes.
And is there a particular reason you don't display all of them?
Due to the volume is difficult to display and also represent the date, time, and distance in the call-out boxes around it in an understandable way. So this is in an effort to try to simplify it for presentation purposes.
And in this particular slide, what are we seeing in terms of this data? What does it indicate?
So you can see timing events between 5:21 and 5:45, showing the target cell phone in this area near Beach Boulevard, between just east of the Intracoastal Waterway, between 5:21 and 5:30, and then with the 1 represents this tower and sector located closest to the yellow flag and the residence flag, the Fernandez residence, and those are the events between 5:29 and 5:44. You can see the first event at 5:29 is this event here, and then the phone moves south and east utilizing the sector facing the 2 locations at 5:36 and 5:45. Those are the 2 bands depicted here near the yellow and residence flags.
What conclusions, if any, can you draw from that data?
The phone moved back towards the vicinity of those 2 locations, the yellow and residence flag.
And here we see a kind of a close-up of some of that data. Is there anything else that you need to say about this slide, or is this just close-up of what we kind of previously went through?
It's just close up and trying to specifically identify each of those bands with the specific date, time, and distance. So you can see these areas of intersection between 5:21 and 5:29, and then the phone uses these 2 bands at 5:36 and 5:45.
And the timeframes you're asked to map, that comes from just the request that you're given.
Yes, the timeframes that's relevant to the investigation.
And is it best practice to give data more context and map a bigger time frame than necessarily, if you have a crime that occurs in 1 minute, is it kind of better to give you context and draw opinions to map a larger time period in order to draw more accurate conclusions from that data?
Yeah, so the timeframes I map is very case dependent and the circumstances dependent. Also, generally I want to see where the device was before, during, and after an incident.
We have here timing advanced data on slide 40 between 5:46 and 6:35 p.m. And what does the data indicate to you on this slide?
There's 2 towers, the target with timing advanced signaling with 2633, the target cell phone in pink. It begins at 5:46 with an event utilizing tower and sector 68009 with the timing advanced measurement here just to the south. That crosses visually just to the south of the residence flag. Then it's from 6:06 to 6:35. There's a number of several timing advance signaling events, 0.68 to 0.73 miles from the base of the tower, and 1 incoming phone call using the same tower and sector for the target device. So target cell phones in the same geographic area as the 2 locations depicted, the Fernandez residence and the location of interest.
On this call-out box here, we see that there is an incoming call. Does that indicate that this phone was using the cell tower to make calls using cellular data?
Yes.
And here we have 709. Okay, so the last timing advance measurement we have for this particular device is 6:35:39 p.m. On the next slide, can you explain to the jury what you mean here when we're talking in this call-out box about the availability of timing advance or other cellular data to map?
Sure. So at 7:09 and 7:10, you see 2 beginning and ending event with the same calculated distance mapped visually here using this tower and sector to the east of the two locations. On the left, describing the cellular activity during that time frame. There's 3 events from 7 p.m. to 7:59 p.m. Related to timing advance and call. So 1 incoming call with no duration, at 7:09:52. So then no outgoing or incoming text messages between 4:26 p.m., which was an outgoing text message, and 6:29 p.m., which was an incoming text message. The next event in the call detail records after 7:09 and 52 seconds is a 10:46 p.m. text message. No data sessions with cell site appeared in the records during this time frame depicted on the map.
So this is important, and I want to take a little bit of time with it. We see here that there's 1 incoming call at 6:08, and we have timing advanced records until 6:35 p.m. The next slide, you indicate that other than this 6:08 incoming call, that there is 1 other call at 7:09, and that you reviewed. Does this mean here when you say no incoming or outgoing text messages between 4:26 to 6:29, and then again until, 7? I'm trying to ask this in a better way. I'm going to go step by step. So you looked at the call log records themselves.
Yes, the raw records.
Yes. Can you describe for me what the cellular activity of this phone is during this time frame? We're getting timing advanced, which is generated by the network. It doesn't mean you have to use your phone. What user-generated or user-received activity is there on this phone for these time periods?
So the last outgoing text message is at 4:26 p.m. There's another incoming text message at 6:29. There's no cell site for that, so I can't map those two. The next event is that call with no duration at 7:09:52, and then there's nothing else until 10:46 when there's a text message.
So this slide here, the only activity for this phone from 6:35 p.m., and then I'll get to the next slide, through 8:19 p.m. are these two timing advanced measurements at 7:09 and 7:10.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's no incoming or outgoing text messages for this time frame or incoming or outgoing phone calls past 7:10 p.m.
No, not till the text message at 10:46.
Going to the next slide, we have from 7:11 p.m. to 8:19 p.m., we have no timing advance records for this cell phone. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And we see here, what can you tell us about any cellular usage? I know you did it last slide, but for this time frame, are there any incoming or outgoing text messages or data sessions or phone calls coming in and out?
No, not between 4:26 and 6:29, and then nothing else until the 10:46, and there's no data sessions with cell site during this time frame.
So from the time frame between 10:28 p.m. and our next slide, 8:20 p.m., can you draw any conclusions about the location of these devices?
So no, in the absence of location information, I can't show the location of the phone. I can see where it picks up on the next slide, and during that time in between, the phone could have traveled any distance one could travel and get back to the location that's going to be where the cell site picks back up, or it could have stayed there that whole time. I don't know. So there's snapshots in time, and they show you the location of the phone during those specific times.
Slide 43, we have timing advanced, again recording beginning at 8:20 p.m. with no timing advanced records again until 8:48, and then we have 8:48, 8:52, 8:55, 8:58, 8:59, 8:48, and we see some tower activity. Can you tell us what this slide indicates to you?
Yes, the target cell phone, especially at 8:48, is at or near the area of intersection between the two timing advance bands. and the target cell phone's in the same geographic area as the two locations of interest, the location of interest and the Fernandez residence.
Okay. Agent Blythe, on February 16th, we're seeing that there are timing advance records available for Mr. Fernandez's phone and multiple timing advance records. For this particular date, we see here on slide 36, I think over 15 different timing advance recordations in a span of 11 minutes. We see multiple timing advance recordations in the span of 6 minutes for this phone. Between 5:21 and 5:45, you didn't even map all of them because of the number of timing advance recordations. Then we see here multiple intersecting bands on page 39. And we see 606, 608, 608, 608, 635,
Correct.
545 on page 40. And then we have from 535 until 709, 710, we have no timing advanced records. And we skip ahead to 8:20 p.m., we pick back up with timing advanced recordations. I understand data by itself can't lead you to draw any conclusions, but what can you tell me about the lack of data for this given the amount of timing advance data both before and after this time period?
I'm objecting to asking it. Counsel did a whole recitation of facts without asking questions. He asked the exact same question that I asked. There was an answer moments ago, which did not draw conclusions. Snapshot time.
Okay. I'll overrule the objection. You can answer.
It points towards no connection with the cellular network during that time frame, in that there's no data sessions with cell site. There's periods without the text messages that we looked at those times, no phone calls, and there's absence of timing advance. There can be time frames where timing advance isn't recorded on a network, and I can't. It can seem almost continuous, and you can see the numerous events that there were before and then moving forward afterwards, but there's this period of time. So you have to look at it, the totality, and you can look at the amount of data activity, call activity, and see how much or little a person is using a phone. But at the end of the day, T-Mobile has their record retention, and they operate the timing advance system. So I can't say exactly why there's no timing advance during that time frame. But one possible reason is the phone being powered off or airplane mode during a specific period of time.
You can't say with certainty that's what it is. It could be network connection issues. It could be user generated by turning off or putting it in airplane mode.
Correct. So yeah, whether it could be either one.
There is multiple timing advance and cellular activity both before and after this specific time frame, which there is none. And although you can't say why that is, there is activity both before and after this time frame.
Correct. And we saw the time frames where the phone was, appeared to be stationary, no calls, map during those time frames, and there's still, timing advance being recorded.
This just happens to be the time of the homicide.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to turn your attention to the mapping you did that evening for the phone number and Gmail account for Henry Tenon. And we have locations between 5 p.m. and 5:56 for 7612 and Henry Tenon 53 at Gmail. And I think the jury's probably experts by now at reading these slides, so these ones we can go a little bit more quickly through. Can you please explain to me what the data indicates to you about these devices?
So it's a visual representation of the cellular network usage for target cell phone 7612 in green and the Henry Tenon 53 target device. Between 5 and 5:49, the target device has 30 locations displayed there, right on top of the Tenon residence. Then at 5:50 through 5:57, the target cell phone begins to move south and east away from the Tenon residence along Highway 23 and then Highway 1.
And that's a close-up of those 30 locations, just indicating that that's a lot of data points in one specific area that all sort of correspond to each other.
Yes, and they're visually, their confidence radiuses are touch or on top of the Tenon residence during that time frame.
And then here we see between, is there data, geolocation data, or cellular activity for 7612 following these two slides?
Yes.
Is there a gap in that data?
There's a time frame where there's no cell site location information until later.
And we see here indicated in this call box up here on page 44. Does that give the jury some kind of indication of those timeframes without data?
Yes, there's no data activity for 7612 from 5:57 p.m. To 9:13 p.m. So that's data sessions. That's the phone's access to the World Wide Web. There's no calls after 5:53 until 9:18 p.m. 5 minutes after you start to see data sessions again. And there's no activity for Henry Tenon 53 between 5:57 and 8:39 p.m.
And similar to what we were just talking about, could that indicate someone who has turned off their phone and put it into airplane mode?
Yes.
Could it also indicate something outside the user's control?
Possibly, but just to have all three of those off, we don't have timing advance, so we can't look at that. But that points me as an investigator towards the phones off or in airplane mode during that time.
Particularly because on other slides, Mr. Tenon's phone number and Gmail seem to be able to record data in the same, in the path of travel, at least part of it, that we know that he probably took that night.
Yes, ma'am.
The 29th. When he leaves his home, he's taking geolocation data all throughout this area, and then later we know he has location data here. Does that give any illumination as to your opinion on whether his phone was off or in airplane mode versus just happened to have connectivity issues during this time frame?
We take our phones with us, we use them, they are collecting cell site location information when we make phone calls, when we use data, when generally that's happening periodically when we're using the phone. If you see an absence of those things, it points towards the phone's not connected to the network for whatever reason. And so whether that be off or airplane mode, Google can continue to collect location information, even if you put it in airplane mode. So, and then transmit that back once you turn the transmitter back on.
Okay, so the next the next voice data and Google location data for Mr. Tenon's cell phones and the timing advance data for Mr. Fernandez's cell phones are indicated here on slide 46 for the time frame between 8:59 p.m. and 9:23 p.m. I'm going to start with Mr. Tenon's devices. Can you explain to me what the data on this slide indicates about his voice device 7612 and Henry Tenon 53 at Gmail?
Yeah, so target cell phone 7612 utilized the tower and sector near the 2nd Avenue sign on the map, the sector facing to the south and east towards the yellow flag and the residence flag for 2 incoming phone calls at 9:18 and 9:23. One of those phone calls was with his other cell phone attributed to him in this investigation. And the Henry Tenon 53 Gmail is moving into this area from the south during this time frame, starting at 9:01 here near the 5th Avenue and 9th sign, and moving north and then west towards these locations at 9:15, 9:19, and then ultimately 9:23, which is on top of the timing advance band at 9:23. So well within the coverage area for the tower and sector for this tower and sector used by 7612.
I want to talk about his other phone number 0513 on February 16th. and I'll come back to this slide when we're finished with that discussion, but he had two phone numbers, 0513 and 7612. We saw 7612 mapped earlier, and now we're mapping here 0513. And can you indicate to me what data was available for this phone that you're mapping here?
So for this phone, we had call detail records with cell site. So we're just going to be able to show tower and sector based on phone call activity. And here I'm displaying a phone call that went to voicemail at 2:12 p.m. using the tower and sector to the south of the Tenon residence location.
And here on February 16th, between 8:40 and 9:23 p.m., we see that there is cellular activity on this phone. Can you describe for the jury what this slide indicates to you?
So the first activity at 8:40 is the target cell phone using a tower and sector here near the 9th Street sign on the map, facing south towards JTB. 3, the tower and sector to the north near the Jacksonville Beach sign on the map, facing to the south and west. And then the tower along Beach Boulevard, the sector facing south towards the location of interest in the Fernandez residence for a phone call at 9:23 p.m. And you can see that's the phone call with his other phone.
So as this device is moving and utilizing these towers, we see that it is actually attempting to contact Henry Tenon's other device.
Yes.
And here for these same time periods, do you have any opinion as to the geolocation data and how it corresponds to that 0513 number based on the mapping you completed here?
It appears to be moving north with the target cell phone 0513, and then it's co-located, it's in the same area as both phones at 923.
Would you feel comfortable making an opinion as to if those phones were separated at some point during this time frame?
It appears that they were separated and came back together between 8:40 and 9:23.
And then here we have Mr. Fernandez's phone showing timing advance records between 9:11 p.m. on February 16th and 1:59 a.m. on February 17th. And again, we see, what does this slide indicate to you?
So there's a lot of timing advance events from 3 different towers, all sectors facing one another in the area of these 2 locations with timing advance. We can see a 1243 event here and a 1243 event from the tower near the Jacksonville Beach sign. So those 2 timing advance events intersect about in this area near the same area as the Fernandez residence.
And again, during this time frame, we have timing advance records. We do have data available for the phone at 9:11, and then data not again available until 10, between the hours of 10 and midnight. And then on the 17th between 12:45 and then fairly consistently up until the last time frame mapped. Can you draw any conclusions on this data as to your previous opinion about the frequency of timing advance in this area?
So the frequency of the timing advance picked back up during this time frame for the device. It appears to be regular and periodic during this time frame, not continuous, but regular. There's what we typically have seen through the majority of the time frame.
And you said not continuous, but periodically. There are some, specifically here, we have a lack of timing advance data for about 45 minutes.
Correct.
Between 9:11 and 10:02. And then voice call for the 7612 number, the next data available for this phone, which was not communicating with the tower other than the previous slides, is back here at the Potomac Avenue.
Yes.
Was there any data available to you to map the route of travel from Jacksonville Beach back to this area by these devices?
Not for 7612, no.
The last few slides I'm going to ask you about, you were asked to map some data from Mr. Fernandez's phone for a time period of March 2nd, 2022 through March 6th or 7th of 2022. And can you describe for the jury what we're seeing in these next few slides?
So this is a travel overview. It's showing all or the vast majority of the timing events activity, showing the movement of the device north from Jacksonville Beach area to the Brunswick area between 9:20 p.m. and 11:53 p.m. on March 2nd, 2022.
Slide 53, this is March 2nd between 2:36 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Can you describe both with your note and the data what this slide indicates to you?
Yes, the target cell phone moved from the area near the Walterboro sign along Interstate 95 here north past Florence towards the Clinton, North Carolina area between 2:36 and 10:30 a.m. The phone remained in the Clinton, North Carolina area until approximately 6:20 a.m. on March 4th, 2022, and the phone began to travel north towards Cheswick, Pennsylvania, outside Pittsburgh.
Slide 54, what is indicated in this slide?
This is showing all the activity during that time frame between 6:20 a.m. on March 4th and 4:52 on showing the movement of the target cell phone to the Cheswick, Pennsylvania area. So the phone remained in the Cheswick, Pennsylvania area until approximately 6:50 p.m. on March 5th, and when the phone began to travel south away from the Pittsburgh area.
So it arrives on 4:52 a.m. on the 4th, or is that supposed to be p.m.?
I apologize. It may be supposed to be p.m.
Okay, so 4:52 p.m. this device arrives in this area outside of Pittsburgh and then remains there until 6:50 p.m. on March 5th. The next slide, slide 55. Describe for me what we're seeing in this slide.
This shows the gross movement of the target device south from the Cheswick, Pennsylvania area all the way back to Jacksonville between 6:55 p.m. on the 5th and 1:55 p.m. on the 6th. It's the drive time per Google Maps is approximately 13 hours and 35 minutes, and the target cell phone appeared to stop in Bridgeport, West Virginia area from approximately March 5th at 9:15 p.m. to 12:05 a.m. on March 6th.
And what conclusion did you draw, or rather, can you explain to us the math on this? Is this indicating that this is a straight drive other than this break here in terms of the cell data?
So we start at 6:55 p.m., so that's about 5 hours on the 5th, and 13, almost 14 hours on the 6th. So it shows, certainly we had the stop for 3 hours. So there's I'm sure there's some other stops in there along the way that are shorter.
And then on March 5th here, we have that timing in advance record showing a stop here. Can you explain what the data is showing here? And we have Sprint towers indicated. Can you explain that to the jury?
Yes, this is 2022 during a time frame when T-Mobile was acquiring Sprint. There'd be times where a T-Mobile phone could use a Sprint tower or vice versa. So to display these events, I had to also use the Sprint tower list. And so it just shows that from the locations of the phone between 9:12 to 9:50, the target cell phone was moving south along 79. And then between 9:20 and 9:50, to 9:50 9:50, the target cell phone was moving south along 79, and then between 9:20 and 9:50, there's timing events shown here, 3 different distances during that time frame.
Just showing another stop.
Yes.
And then here between 10:04 p.m. and 12:05 a.m. on March 5th into 6th, is this indicating another kind of what you would consider to be a stop in this route of travel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Lastly, we've got on June 7th, you were asked to map some data provided to you in this investigation, and this is showing some efforts by the detectives to locate a specific address. And can you indicate to the jurors, based on this data, what it appears to indicate about the movements of Mr. Tenon's phone 7612?
So it shows the movement of the target cell phone 7612 south and east towards the area of the College Garden sign on the map. And between 609 and 610, the device used the tower and sector here facing to the west towards the blue truck recovery flag, the blue flag on the map to that area.
So this was used as detectives to try to locate a truck by looking at some cellular data corresponding to some other records on Mr. Tenon's phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And then lastly, we have these ops clock for Mr. Fernandez's phone. And can you describe for the jury what this is depicting?
So this is designed to try to show when a device is least and most active. It shows based on the call detailed records. So it's showing the time frame from December 31st, 2021 through March 31st, 2022. And where you see it starts with the days of the week, Sunday through Saturday here. And then this is like a clock, 0000 is 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going around. It shows the hours of the day. It starts with AM on this side, makes it to noon, and then this is the afternoon and evening. So the darker the shaded area is the more frequent activity in the call detail records.
And if we're talking about February 16th, which was a Wednesday, if we map through Mr. Fernandez's average for this time frame usage of cell phones in that time, usage of his cell phone in that time frame where we don't have data, between about 7:10 through 8:20, we have, can you describe for the jury kind of what this indicates about that?
Yeah, during those hours of the day, there's usually usage on the phone. Somewhere between 7 and 8, it starts and continues until between 7 and 9.
And this is based on data sessions and cellular usage. This is not that timing advanced
Correct.
data. And this is just another way to look at that. I know people visualize things differently. So this is page 60 of the slide deck. And then here on page 61, can you describe for the jury the data you've mapped here?
Similar presentation, just different visual format. It's a bar chart showing by hour of the day when the frequency of usage based on the call detail record.
And unlike that other slide, this is not broken up by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is just an aggregate
Correct.
of times. So we see here the time frame I'd asked you about for the lack of any data was between 7:10 and 8:20 p.m. So we see here 1900 would be 7 p.m. and 2100 would be 9 p.m.
Correct.
Agent Blythe, having gone through the slides, is there any questions, since you're the expert, anything else you think that you need to say or correct given your testimony here today?
No.
Calls for a narrative.
Sustain.
Agent Blythe, I will leave you and tender you for cross-examination to Mr. Dreiser.
All right. Members of the jury, that's going to conclude the information or evidence today. So leave your notepads on your chair. I'm going to remind you to please follow the communication rules. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. All right, please let the record reflect that jury's left the courtroom. Agent Blythe, you're still considered to be on the witness stand, but we'll take the break over the night's recess. Please do not discuss your testimony with anyone, and that's including the attorneys, because you're still considered to be on the witness stand, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, see you tomorrow morning. If you could get here maybe a couple of minutes before so we can get you on the witness stand.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything we need to take up? All right, thank you all very much. I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Court's adjourned. Good morning. All right, we're here on, in the morning session, if the attorneys will place their appearances on the record.
Christina Stifler, Alan Mizrahi, and Steve Siegel on behalf of the state of Florida.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Jesse Dreiser. I'm here with our client, Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Hill, Ms. Nepsat, and Ms. Day. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. All right, is there anything we need to take up prior to bringing in the jury?
Ma'am.
All right, thank you. Let's bring in the jury.
My palms still get sweaty.
Is the witness close by? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you. All right, good morning, members of the jury. Welcome, and good morning. Everyone may be seated. All right, members of the jury, before we get started with today's portion of the trial, could you all please confirm and answer out loud that you follow the communication rules over the night's recess? Yes. Okay. To remind you where we are, I keep saying detective. Agent Blythe was on the witness stand. I'm going to ask that he be called back to the stand. Good morning, Agent. Good morning. Since the night's recess we're into a new day, if you please raise your right hand to be sworn in.
Agent, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. I do.
All right, this way. All right, Mr. Dreiser, you may proceed with cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, Agent Blythe. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. You?
Fine. fine. Thank you for asking, and thank you for being here, okay?
Absolutely.
Yesterday, we had a little bit of an opportunity to get to know you and your background. And of course, you are an agent with the FBI, right?
Yes, sir.
And you have a pretty impressive academic background. You have a degree in, I think, business.
Yes, in accounting.
And then you have some experience in the real world and experience in law enforcement, combining all those skills, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think we can agree that well, let me say, the one thing you don't have, and I'm not knocking on you, but you're not an engineer, correct?
No, I'm not an engineer.
And you don't work for T-Mobile, correct?
No, I do not.
And a lot of what we're talking about is the engineering of cellular networks.
Yes.
Okay. So can we agree that the work that you do is important in cases like this?
Yes, very.
And can we agree that accuracy is important?
Yes.
And I don't know if you told the jury yesterday, but not only do you review these reports before they're submitted, you have a peer review. You have someone else look at the reports, right?
Yes, sir.
To make sure they're accurate, right?
Yes.
All right, let me just and I'm going to walk you through everything. I'm not going to cherry pick, but I want to show you slide 56. This is from March 5th between 9:12 and 9:50 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And yesterday you talked about the TA records associated with that. But if you look in the call box, those TA records seem to be from 2/17 of 2022, correct?
Yes, so there's a typographical mistake in the call-out box.
So that's a mistake that you made before you submitted this evidence to the government?
Yes.
And the peer review person, he didn't catch that either?
Apparently not.
And as you sit here today, is it a typographical error, or did you put the TA records from 2/17 inside of the PowerPoint?
I'm confident that it's a typo in the call-out box for the date. I didn't replace the date with March 5th. I apologize.
Okay. And while we're here, this is about a Pennsylvania trip that Mr. Fernandez took?
Yes.
Anybody ever tell you why it was important whether Mr. Fernandez went to Pennsylvania and came back?
I don't recall why that was important.
Important enough that you mapped it all and put it in your slides, right?
The investigative team thought that time frame was important to show the location of the target device, so I prepared a map as such.
Okay. Not your job to know or say why it's important, just map it if they tell you to.
So yeah, the investigative team it's their investigation. They're informing me about what times are pertinent that they need to show movement or a location for the device. And so that's what I'm looking to as far as guidance about what time frames I look at.
Simply put, you mapped that Mr. Fernandez went to Pennsylvania. Well, first he stopped in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
And are you aware that the jury has heard from a friend of his that he stopped at his house in North Carolina?
I am now.
You are now, because I told you?
Yes.
Okay. And on the same dates that you mapped, and then if I understand correctly, he went up to Pennsylvania, and I think your testimony, these are my words, but he sort of hauled ass back to Jacksonville.
He wasn't there a very long time and came back.
Came back pretty quick, right?
Sure. Some people move at different paces.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what you were saying to the jury yesterday was he was up in Pennsylvania, and then he kind of moved back relatively quickly, like he didn't have a lot of stops, right?
Yeah, there was a 3-hour stop, was the biggest, most notable stop during the way back that I recall.
But just so I'm clear, Jacksonville is where this homicide occurred, right?
Yes.
And he came back to Jackson.
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's start at, well, I want to show you, did you notice yesterday when you were going through your slides, this is I think you did 5 drafts of these before you made a final?
At least.
At least 5 drafts, right? And every time you did a draft, you would provide it to the defense team through discovery, right?
So I provided it to the state, and they provided the discovery to you.
Then they provide it. So through the course of this investigation, every time you did a draft, we would have to do, at least you would think it's fair that we would do an analysis of your draft, right?
I would hope you'd review it.
And if we had an expert, which I think you know that we do,
Yes.
He would have to review it, correct?
Sure.
So I assume at some point in time during this trial, when the state gets up and asks questions to my expert about why we had to pay him so much money, would you agree that every time you did a draft, you would expect it's fair that he would review your draft, right?
If you ask him to, sure.
Sure. And it would be reasonable for us to ask him to review your drafts, right?
It's something that, a layperson could easily misunderstand. So it's understandable you'd want to talk to somebody with knowledge of the profession.
Sure. And can we also agree that going back to you looking at these things and making sure that before it got submitted into evidence, it was up to speed. This is your final, correct?
It is.
Did you notice on about a third of the slides that are in evidence, they're still stamped draft?
A third?
No, let's go to page 21. See draft? Can you see that, Agent?
I do.
Go to page 22. See that?
Yes.
23? 24? I mean, I'll let the jury, it's in evidence, but significant portion of your final is still submitted draft. Is that another mistake that should have been taken out?
In preparing over the past month or two, I noticed some things that wanted to modify somewhat. Didn't change the conclusions or the overall locations or anything like that. But I had somebody take a second look at them after I made some changes, and I forgot to take the draft stamp off.
Okay. You go to January 5th, please. Start slide 8. This is January 5th. You would agree that this is at 10:56 to 11:51, and it shows that Mr. Fernandez is in the area of his house.
Yes, same geographic area.
Not unusual for a person to be in the same geographic area of their home, correct?
No.
This doesn't tell you anything about Henry Tenon or anything about Mr. Fernandez other than he may be home, right?
Correct.
Next slide. All right, now we jump hours later, right? This is like 5 hours later.
Yes, 5:24 p.m. is when this starts.
Okay, and this is Henry Tenon going to the area of Jack's Beach, correct?
Yes.
All right, so now you don't have any information as to where Mr. Fernandez is on January 5th, do you?
No, not during this time frame.
You have no idea whether Mr. Fernandez saw Mr. Tenon when he came near the Jack's Beach area, correct?
I don't have any independent knowledge of that.
Yeah, you have no communications between the two of them on January 5th, correct?
Not that I've been made privy to.
You can't tie Mr. Fernandez to Henry Tenon on January 5th in any way using technical data or records that you have obtained.
Not with these phone records, with cell site and Gmail records.
Okay, and most importantly, on this day, Henry Tenon goes in the area of Jack's Beach near the Pablo Hamlet area, the Fernandez residence, right?
Yes.
You need to see that, or you agree with me?
I recall that.
Okay, but do you recall that he doesn't go anywhere near the crime scene?
I think that not on this date and time, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. On this date and time, January 5th, he doesn't go anywhere near the crime scene, right? And you do know, even though you're not, I guess you're part of the investigative team, but you're more the mapping guy, right?
Yes.
But you do know that there is a connection between Mr. Fernandez and Henry Tenon because Henry Tenon was his tenant at that time, right?
I've heard that at some point he was his tenant.
Sure. That's not like a secretive fact. And if I understand your slides, Mr. Tenon goes to the area of Jack's Beach, and you think that maybe, and can you go to the slide of the Marsh Inlet? He goes down, passes Pablo Hamlet, he passes Marsh Inlet, and he turns around and he comes back, correct?
Yes.
And if he is on the street, can you go to the one where it shows that he may be on?
Mr. Dreiser, if you would, just for record purposes, refer to what slide you're referring to.
I should have done that. I'm sorry. This all is composed of states 190, 182, and specifically, I'm asking Agent Blythe about page 12.
Thank you.
Page 12, this is where, different than many of your other slides, you don't have any confidence level on any of these slides.
No, not on these 4.
This entire slide, which is the one that zoomed in the most, has no confidence on any one of Henry Tenon's factors, correct?
No.
But nonetheless, you decided to map that you think, without any confidence, that Mr. Tenon may have gone on the street of the Fernandez residence, correct?
That was the recorded location. And throughout the duration of the analysis, I was able to see that these locations, with or without a known source, followed in line, stayed along roadways. They weren't errant off in the middle of nowhere or a place where there was no roadway or a place where a person and a phone could be. Looking at them in their totality, they all seem to be very reliable locations.
Even if you're right, which you may be, he's on the street for what, 30 seconds at max? I mean, if you're exactly correct, and your totality of the circumstances all added up, you can't put him on that street for more than 30 seconds.
Correct.
So, and you have no reason to believe that Mr. Fernandez was home.
I don't know.
You have no idea, right?
No.
And you don't know if Mr. Tenon was dropping off rent money in the mailbox.
I don't know that.
You don't know if Mr. Tenon was scouting the area because he planned to kill Jared Bridegan. You don't know that.
No.
You just know that he's in the area. And the one thing we do know is that the Marsh Inlet and the area of interest does have evidentiary value in this case, correct? That area has interest, right?
Sure.
Mario, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, Mario Fernandez's home is close to Marsh Inlet, correct?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I did not say that correctly. Mario Fernandez's home is close to Pablo Hamlet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's so close that it's hard to make any sort of data location because it's so close. It goes within the area of the bands that make it to where the technology just isn't that precise, correct?
That's fair.
Okay, and we'll talk about that later. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next day. And that would be January 25th, correct?
Yes.
And on January 25th, I mean, this has so much data on it, but let's just break it down so simple so the jury knows what they're looking at. You believe on January 25th that Mario Fernandez went over to John Biggerstaff's house.
His phone moved to that area, used the tower closest to his house, and had a calculated distance, roughly the same distance from the tower as the house was, which is consistent with him being at the residence.
It's a great point. You don't track people, do you?
Well,
You
phones
track
don't move themselves, but people have their phones. Research shows that we keep our phones within arm's reach the vast majority of the day. But yes, technically I'm tracking phones.
So Mr. Hill in his opening statement told the jury just that. He said that studies show that people keep their cellular devices within arm's reach. That's what you guys rely on, correct?
Yes, that's how we find people all the time.
Exactly. I don't want to jump the gun, but on the 29th, you don't have Mr. Fernandez's device anywhere except for the Potomac address, correct?
That area, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he goes from his house to Potomac, but the phone never leaves Potomac, correct?
On the 29th?
Right.
Correct.
So by the studies and by what you're aware of and everything you're trained on and how you locate bodies and guns and all the things that you say that you've been so successful doing, it's because people are generally within arm's length of their devices, correct?
Usually, but sometimes people intentionally leave their devices behind in cases. Sometimes.
They do. And that's when you have to use what you said yesterday, which is other investigative efforts when you're doing historical cell site analysis to see if you can confirm whether people have done that, correct?
If you can.
All right, we'll get there. But on this day, Mr. Fernandez goes to what is known as an old friend of his, correct?
You
know that he
Biggerstaff?
Yeah.
My understanding is they're Arch associates of some kind.
Yeah, they've known each other for a long time.
Okay.
Okay. And on that day, you know that Mr. Fernandez called Mr. Biggerstaff on his way over there. Because in all that data, it actually shows a call from Mr. Fernandez to Mr. Biggerstaff, right?
Yes.
Before he gets there. Like, hey, I'm on my way, right? You don't know what it said, but that's not far-fetched that someone would call and say, I'm on the way to your home, correct?
No.
And then right when he gets to the house, there's a message or a call saying, well, you don't know what it says, but it's right when he gets there, not far-fetched to be like, hey, I'm here, man, right?
Yeah, I don't know why he called him, but
Okay.
could be.
All right, so he's there for like an hour or so, and then he leaves, right?
I don't remember how long he's there. I think it might be the next slide. Yes.
All right. This is slide 16, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And you don't know why he was there?
No.
You have no evidence what he was doing there?
No, sir.
Someone just asked you to map whether Mario Fernandez was going to a guy's house that he knows for a long time. He left. That's what you know. That's what all of this information tells you, correct?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to January 29th. Okay, on this date, we're on slide 19. I want to talk about some ground information that I'm not sure that you said yesterday. Anytime the location of interest or the address of Potomac or anything on these slides, anytime, would you agree that your testimony, a golden rule, is it can never be farther than the bands?
Very rarely, and if it is, we're talking less than 2% of the time, it's usually explainable because, for example, if you had a huge building like this courthouse and the antennas for the cell site are on different corners of this rooftop, it's huge. So if the latitude, longitude for the tower is dead center in the middle of the building, the antennas are on different corners of the building, that timing advance band could look a little farther away than it really is, or closer, depending on that layout. So usually you can reconcile that if you actually find a phone outside of the band that was displayed. So
maybe not a golden rule, but a pretty good rule of thumb that it's never outside the bands, correct?
Yeah, it's very rare.
But on the inverse, when there's one band, it can be one or two bands inside.
Yes, that's possible.
Of course, that's not only possible, you know that to be the case, right?
Yes.
If I say that the Mario Fernandez residence is right on the border of a band in some of these slides,
yes,
you'll agree with me every single time that it's in the parameter of one or two bands, so it's in the timing advance bands.
yes.
Okay. The other thing that I'm not so sure was clear yesterday, in these pink bands, and let's use slide 19 as an example, anytime you may have a dot inside the pink band, but you have no idea where in the pink band the device is.
So are we talking about these dots are from Henry Tenon 53. These aren't timing advance estimated locations.
Glad you pointed that out. I want the jury to be very clear. I'm not talking, and I didn't say this, so thank you. For these golden rules and concepts I'm trying to iron out, I'm not talking about the GPS stuff. That's different than timing advance, right?
Right. These are two different people's devices on this slide.
And two different technologies, right?
Yes.
So because you don't have any GPS for Mr. Fernandez, let me make it clear. When Mr. Fernandez's devices are in any of these pink bands, you have no idea where in the pink band it is.
Yeah, so when Mr. Tenon's device is inside that band, it doesn't, just because it's inside the same band where Mario Fernandez's phone is, that they could be together, they may not be together. It's potential co-location. Is that what you're asking me?
I really wasn't. I'm not asking you anything about Mr. Tenon at the moment. I'm asking you for Mr. Fernandez. In all of these records, you're using TA analysis because you don't have GPS for Mr. Fernandez, correct?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is just get some global ground rules so the jury understands this. That device can be anywhere in a pink band, like at the very, very bottom of slide 19, where the pink bands end, or the very, very top, you don't know. The technology isn't that good.
Yes, in isolation, the phone could be anywhere in that band, from one side of the sector to the other, to answer your question. However, if you have intersecting timing events, that's not the case here. But when you do, if it's close in time, you would look at that area of intersection to narrow that area.
For example, in this one, most of the slides, it could be anywhere in the pink band.
Yes.
Right. And the other thing that I want to make sure is crystal clear, that if Mr. Fernandez's device is in his pocket, okay, and Mr. Fernandez is in his driveway and he's sweeping, you have no idea the movement of the device within the pink bands, correct?
No.
If Mr. Fernandez he walks from the kitchen to the end of the driveway to throw a bucket of water out, you cannot do, this technology doesn't work like that, correct?
Yes, no, it doesn't. It's not that precise. It's good enough to help us find people many times, but it's those bands are 78 meters wide. So that's the confidence of it.
So when you're showing all this information from January 29th and it's just like TA, it's not like you know that the device is stationary and not moving. You can't tell that.
So when maybe I say stationary, it's staying in the same area, a defined area that we can define by those bands. It doesn't necessarily mean it's sitting still, perfectly still on one exact location.
That's exactly what I'm asking you. Can't do that, right?
Right.
Now, we'll get to some precise stuff in a question. The other thing that I just don't think I heard this word come out of your mouth one time yesterday, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Did you ever say the words Wi-Fi yesterday?
Yes.
You did? Okay, thank you. There's a caveat when there's Wi-Fi, isn't there?
What do you mean?
Meaning that if a phone is connected to Wi-Fi, then there can be calls and texts that this wouldn't catch.
So the calls generally make their way to the call detail records if they're over Wi-Fi, but if a phone can also use data over Wi-Fi, and that could carry the data sessions rather than the cellular network.
Right, so it's possible that a person could be making calls or text messages or doing video gaming, and you wouldn't have a record of it if they're connected to Wi-Fi.
So the data sessions would therefore be carried by the Wi-Fi, the internet service provider,
Sure.
And it wouldn't show data throughput with the cellular network. If they made calls or received calls, those would make their way to the records.
They may make their way to the records. They don't always make their way to the records.
They usually do, but it's possible.
It's possible that they don't, right?
Sure.
Okay. And you know, and we don't have to guess, even though we have photos, I'll show you in a second, that there is Wi-Fi at the Potomac address.
Maybe there is. I'm sure most people have home-based Wi-Fi.
Well, we don't have to say maybe, because you did the tracking of Henry Tenon's devices, and the data that you used at 2 o'clock for the geolocation of Mr. Tenon, and if you need your records to look, I'll be glad to, you used Wi-Fi. That was the source of the GPS at 2 o'clock.
I guess all I'm saying is I don't know if it connected to Mario Fernandez's Wi-Fi, but there's enough Wi-Fi access points around there that the phone was able to generate a Wi-Fi based location.
All right, let me pause you for a moment. Members of the jury, I need you to go into the jury room, please. Agent Blythe, I'm going to ask you step outside the courtroom. Everyone may be seated.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Fernandez needs to go in the back. I need Miss Bridegan to step up, Mr. Clifton to step up, and get Kirsten Nelson on the phone. On Zoom, switch over. If the state would clear the way so they can have a seat. Do you want to call your appellate counsel? They can join via Zoom. Ms. Bridegan, you can sit down. It's okay. Print a copy of the order.
If you go into Zoom and put in that number, it should come up. That's the meeting.
Are the attorneys from the Gardner firm on Zoom?
Good morning, Your Honor. Kirsten Nelson on behalf of Ms. Gardner. I believe Jose Baez and Ron Sullivan are also present.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning. Is Mr. who's represent Sam Solario?
Sam, if you can hear us, could you just announce your presence?
I can hear you fine. I'm not visible because I'm unsuitably attired for court, Your Honor, and
Yes.
I didn't want to appear poorly.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, Mr. Clifton, for purposes of this hearing, I received, while I'm in the middle of the trial of the state of Florida versus Mario Fernandez Saldana, I received an email indicating that Ms. Bridegan is refusing to comply with the court order. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And then Ms. Nelson is the person that notified the court. So, Ms. Nelson, I'll hear from you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I also apologize. I am not suitably attired for court, so I will keep my camera off. We are moving for a motion, or our motion is for an order to show cause why Ms. Bridegan should not be held in contempt for failure to comply with the court's August 11th order, as well as the order this morning and the order yesterday.
Ms. Nelson, do you agree that it would be indirect contempt of court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Clifton, do you understand the nature of the motion for an order to show cause?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So it is basically non-compliance with the court's order that was entered in on August 11th. And for the record, the court had a hearing that was requested based on the subpoenas that were issued pursuant to a prior order. The court heard the objection of the party, the non-party. I then, after that hearing and after consideration of the side that was presented during the objection, the court overruled the objection and issued an order of compliance because it was not being complied with. That is the prior order. Then this morning at approximately 7:19, this court got notice that Ms. Bridegan wanted, counsel filed a petition for all writs. The Fifth District Court of Appeal has docketed now the appellate process, which is the appropriate way to go if there is disagreement with the court's decision. In the trial court, I believe it was you, Mr. Clifton, that filed the motion to stay this morning. It was approximately, I think, about 8:15 or 8:20,
About
maybe.
20 p.m. last night, Your Honor, but
It was 10:20. I didn't get notice of it until early this morning.
Yep.
Then defense counsel filed a response. The court then issued another order denying the stay and denied it within, I believe it was about 8:30ish, giving Ms. Bridegan 30 minutes to comply with the court's order. Additionally, in the prior hearing, in the prior order, the defense has gone through the expense of asking and paying for an expert to come up to take possession of the phone to comply with the court's order and then return the phone to Ms. Bridegan in short order so that she could have her phone basically selectively downloaded and then returned to her so that there would be as little time away from her phone as possible. And so that is what is not being complied with. Do you believe that this is sufficient notice, or I can write the order to show cause? I'm going to grant the order to show cause, and I can write down date and time. Pursuant to the rule, I believe that you are entitled to reasonable time to prepare a defense for Ms. Bridegan.
we would want reasonable time to prepare a defense.
All right, and I hope that this is not to wait out whether the Fifth District Court of Appeal is somehow going to stay. But I will give you, right now, I stopped the trial at exactly 9:30. What do you believe reasonable time would be, Mr. Clifton, for you to be prepared for the defense of an order to show cause for noncompliance, which is indirect criminal contempt of this court?
Your Honor, looking to do this today?
Yes. Because the expert drove up today, and so I don't...
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay.
2 hours?
Can we...
And we have a lunch coming up at some point, 12:30?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will, if you require, I will. I will have something written up and filed for you to answer to. If I can get it probably by 10:15, and then I would have the hearing, I would say at 12:30. Is that reasonable?
Yes, ma'am. That would help.
Yes, sir. All right. And whatever counsel, if you all could get in, do you want Ms. Gardner transported?
No, Your Honor, we'll waive her presence. Thank you.
All right. I will see you all again at 12:30 for this hearing, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It goes without being said, Ms. Bridegan, you need to be present again, okay? Go get the jury to get back ready as soon as.
Transcripts. Can someone read back to me the last question I asked? I'll pay you.
Can you have can you have a read back, please? Hold the jury.
You don't have to say name because you did the collection of messages and data that you used at 2 o'clock from the geolocation of Mr. Tenon with media records to look at outside. You used Wi-Fi that was a sort of a GPS at 2 o'clock. So all I'm saying is I don't know that it's connected to Mario Fernandez Wi-Fi, but there's enough Wi-Fi access to come surrounding it. The president is able to find a Wi-Fi based location.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Court Reporter. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. They can come in if they're ready.
Your Honor, the jurors
Thank you. All right, welcome back in, members of the jury. Everyone may be seated. Mr. Dreiser, if I could just interrupt you for a couple more seconds. Members of the jury, I want to apologize for the interruption. I want to make sure that you all understand that the interruption has nothing to do with either the state or the defendant in this case. Instead, I had an emergency issue that I needed to resolve prior to you all continuing because it's time sensitive. And so I apologize for any interruption. I believe that we're back on track. So if you thought anything, you should disregard anything. It was my issue, not the attorney's. Does everyone understand that? If you could answer out loud. Yes. Perfect. Let's go.
All right, we're back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks for being here. We're now on January 29th. That's a day that the government asked you to map, and you did that, right?
Yes.
Now, did you talk yesterday about the fact that you do sometimes, in other cases, review surveillance in conjunction with cellular data so you can form a better expert opinion, right?
Yes.
You did not do that in this case.
I'm generally, unless it's my own case or an FBI case on my squad, I'm not part of the investigative team, and so I'm not out doing video canvases. So any video surveillance that would be provided to me to use in conjunction with this would be dependent on the investigative team. If it was available for them to find it, get it provided.
I still have permission to walk around?
Yes.
I took the liberty without asking. Thank you. Well, just for example, they did provide you information that they thought was important, and I'm reviewing States 210. This is the vehicle, the license plate readers. Do you remember? Oh, here, I can just put it down. Remember looking at that yesterday, Agent?
Yes, I do.
You didn't pull that information, correct?
No.
The investigative team gave that to you, correct?
They did.
And that was to help you, in your expert opinion, make conclusions as to where Henry Tenon may be located, correct?
See if that lines up or not with those locations, yes.
And it did. It had some evidentiary value that a vehicle registered Henry Tenon's father was near the location of where Henry Tenon's cell phone was via its GPS, correct?
Correct.
So that's exactly what we're talking about. The ability to try to confirm otherwise, which is just numbers and data on pieces of paper that you received from T-Mobile, right?
So I use it as a technique. I call it layering. So if I can get more data sets, more locations, I'll use them.
Perfect. And I asked you in this case, did you review any surveillance as a part of your layering technique that you just described to the jury?
No, I don't think there was any other surveillance that I can recall provided to use in conjunction besides the license plate readers.
Would it help assist you in your expert opinion to know, and the jury has already painstakingly watched hours of compiled surveillance that law enforcement did, not at this time, but at the Potomac address? Meaning, would it help you in your expert opinion to know that Mario Fernandez frequents the Potomac address regularly?
I don't. I obviously can see when his phone was in that area from the records I reviewed. I haven't reviewed the poll camera or whatever kind of camera surveillance was in that area.
Let's try to do this together. This day, you have Mr. Fernandez's device at the Potomac address for a couple hours, give or take.
Yes.
In evidence is hours and hours of Mr. Fernandez at the Potomac address. Does that help you say that this data is consistent with Mr. Fernandez going to the Potomac address as seen in the surveillance that's been admitted into evidence?
Yes, that would be one more indication. If you see the vehicle or him on camera, that shows that might show that he moved there with his phone.
Consistent with the day that you mapped, right?
Yeah, if there's camera footage showing him there, it's consistent with this map.
That's all I was asking. Now, this is where on slide 19, Mr. Fernandez is moving from the Jacks Beach area to his rental property on January 29th. That's what this slide shows, correct?
I don't know if that's his rental property or not. I know that address is associated with Mr. Tenon.
No one told you that Mr. Fernandez owned that place?
No.
This is the first that you're learning of that?
I don't remember that. Again, I'm not part of the investigative team. I'm there for phone-based location information to try to show where devices are around these circumstances.
Well, let's talk about it. You're the expert in this case, or one of them. Let's make sure you understand, because I think it could be important. Mr. Tenon is alleged to have killed Jared Bridegan. You know that, right?
Yes.
So when you put, because someone told you to, on your legend, Tenon address, 5239 Potomac Avenue, someone told you to put that?
It told me that that's the residence attributed to Mr. Tenon. They're able to somehow verify that that is his address.
It's interesting because what's also in evidence is a lease agreement that Mr. Fernandez leased the property to Jeremy Ordway on January 27th of 2022. Did you know that?
No.
Would you like to see that, or you take my word for it?
I'll take your word for it if that's an evidence.
Okay. And you would agree with me that this is 2 days after the lease agreement was signed, correct?
It is.
So you don't know why that law enforcement told you to put the murderer's name on this slide and not two different things. One, that it's Mr. Fernandez's actually owned property. I know you're learning that for the first time today, but would you take my word for it that he owns it? Or would you like to see the records and evidence that he owns it?
If that's an evidence, I can take your word for it.
It is. And secondarily, as the landlord of the property, he had already rented it to a different individual by the 29th of January. And you took my word for that fact already, correct?
Again, I don't have any independent knowledge of that. If that's an evidence, so be it.
But nonetheless, whoever told you to make this slide decided it was best to put the Tenon residence when you have taken my word for two facts that make this not the Tenon residence, correct?
I don't know all those factors, if Mr. Tenon still had access to it, or what the dynamic there was. So the investigative team felt that it was a residence attributed to Mr. Tenon, and I took their word for that.
Sure enough. Because that's all you can do is plug in the data that someone gives you, right?
It's more than that, but.
Okay. Let's talk about the movement of Mr. Fernandez's phone. You know that at 2 o'clock on 129, still looking at page 19 of your slides, at 2 o'clock and 5 seconds, Mr. Fernandez is not at Potomac, correct?
What time?
2 o'clock and 5 seconds p.m.
Not yet.
All right. Can you show the jury, so my question's more clear, when I say that he could be anywhere in the band, using that band as an example, can you show the jury where he could be?
Yeah, so this event in this phone could be anywhere in this shaded area of this band.
Mr. Dreiser.
I'm going to ask would you help me change the color? Is that what you were going to ask, Judge? I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I think I knew what was coming.
And I say just.
Wait a second.
Sorry.
It's red right now, and you can't see it.
See what blue looks like. Can you try doing that again?
Sure.
There we go. I like that.
And just to clarify, when you show movement of a device and you see these timing advance bands, yes, in isolation, the phone could be anywhere in the shaded area of that band, but if, a phone is moving in a vehicle, the phone's going to be on a roadway. So you're going to look to where the roadways are as part of that overall route in that movement to see where that phone would have been during that time.
I agree with you.
Just to clarify.
There's one road and a swamp on both sides. It's likely on the road, right?
Yes.
People can't drive through a swamp. I think we all get that.
Right.
In this case, there's a lot of roads though, right?
There are several, yes.
You don't know what road he's on, right?
Not exactly, no.
So he could be pretty much anywhere in the band as long as it's not somewhere off the road.
I mean, based on the timing, I think it's most likely somewhere along Old Kings Road or an adjacent road, but there are several roads around there.
Okay? But we agree, under no circumstances, according to your expert opinion, is he at Potomac.
At 2:02, the phone is
Asking you very specifically.
on its way.
At 2:05, he is not at Potomac.
I don't think so yet, no.
Okay? At 2:12, using the geolocation call-out number, Henry Tenon appears to be at or very close to the Potomac address.
Yes.
And that's a confidence meters of 56 meters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you drew the radius. That is an unknown source, though. And I thought we talked that you don't like to use unknown sources. Do you agree that's an unknown source, Agent Blythe? Mr. Tenon's 2:00?
I don't recall that being an unknown source, but again, I looked at these locations in their totality. The reason I didn't show the radius for the other unknown sources that was so low because they were less than 3 meters, which is unlikely a device could get a location with less than 3 meters, even with GPS. And so, 56 meters is a lot more conservative and reasonable than 1 or 2 meters.
Okay. Nonetheless, 56 meters, approximately 160 feet, somewhere around the Potomac address is what you think.
Yes.
At 2:12. Right?
Right.
Now, at 2:06, Mr. Tenon is definitely not in the area of the Potomac address, correct?
No, he's moved to the area of Old Kings Road and Edgewood.
Yep. And we know he's on the move because he hits another tower at 2:08, and then he has geolocation at 2:10. So bear with me. We know that Mr. Tenon is on the move, 2:00, 2:06, 2:08, and 2:10, moving away from the Potomac address.
Yes.
And we know that Mr. Fernandez at 2:00 is not there, and then he moves closer to the Potomac address somewhere around 2:02, correct?
Yes.
You said yesterday that they could have been there for a short period of time together, right?
Potentially.
But potentially they were not there at the same time together, correct?
I'm sorry?
Potentially they were not there at the same time together.
So sometime between 2:00 and 2:06, I don't know when, Mr. Tenon's phone began moving from the residence towards Old Kings Road. So I don't know exactly when during that 6 minutes and some change that his phone left. It looks like it would probably take, a little bit of time to get that distance. I don't know the exact drive time, but they're very close to overlapping. So I don't know for sure that based on this data, that they were together, but they could have been.
And I really thought my question was really simple. I know you think they could have been. I'm asking you, they may not have been. And you gave a very long answer, but you agree with me that you can't say that they were together at that time period at Potomac, correct?
Correct.
And while you track devices and the studies show that people are within arm's length of their devices, can you tell me one time while Mr. Tenon is away from Potomac that you can put Mario Fernandez with Henry Tenon?
Based on this data, no.
Okay? And based on the data, not a shred of evidence that Mr. Fernandez was with Mr. Tenon during that time period, correct?
There's no location in data, during this time when Mr. Tenon's devices leave and then come back that I can show that on the 29th.
And there's not a shred of surveillance that has ever been provided to you that puts Mr. Fernandez with Mr. Tenon, correct?
I'm not aware of it, no.
You're not aware of any receipts or financial transactions that put Mr. Fernandez outside of the Potomac area during that time period, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
You're not aware of a single eyewitness that puts Mr. Fernandez outside of the Potomac address or area at the time that Mr. Tenon is gone, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
And you don't know whether Mr. Fernandez may have connected to the Wi-Fi at the residence in which he owns, correct?
Could you repeat the last one?
You don't know if when Mr. Fernandez arrives at Potomac, he connects to the Wi-Fi there.
I don't.
And of course, if he was there and there were data sessions, it wouldn't be picked up on these TA records, correct?
If he's using cellular or using Wi-Fi based data instead of cellular data if and when he connected to that Wi-Fi, I don't know if he did. You can't tell that based on the cellular records.
Exactly. And it's not uncommon for people to connect to Wi-Fi to places that they routinely go, correct?
It's not uncommon.
Thank you. You have a bunch of slides that reflect that Mr. Tenon went near the crime scene during that time period on January 29th, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you even have a zoomed in slide. Can you find it for me, please? January 29th, where he's near. Like right here, right there. The long red line, there we go. We're looking at slide 26. This shows that you believe Mr. Tenon's device, and by extension of the studies, Mr. Tenon went to the crime scene on that day, correct?
Yes.
You have no evidence whatsoever that he went anywhere near Marsh Inlet, Mr. Fernandez's residence on that day, do you?
I don't think so, no.
February 15th? On February 15th, you have reason to believe, using the data, that Mr. Fernandez may have gone to his rental property in the morning?
Yes, the Potomac Avenue address, yes.
Okay. Mr. Tenon wasn't there?
During this time frame, his device is over where it's indicated with the 9 events here.
We're looking at slide 34.
Correct.
Easy answer is Mr. Tenon's not there, correct?
His device is not there.
His device isn't there. Thank you. And did you know that the area that it is in is Modison Pallets, where Mr. Tenon worked? Did anybody tell you that?
No.
Okay. This would be an example where Mr. Fernandez is at the rental property and Mr. Tenon is not at the rental property, correct?
In this instance, no, correct.
Yeah. Just like on the 29th, right?
On the 29th, you're just talking about Mr. Tenon's device is leaving?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mr. Fernandez's device remains in the area of that residence.
Similar fact, right?
Yes.
Now let's go to later in the afternoon. And again, in your layering, concept that you told me about, would it be important to know that in the surveillance that this jury has already seen, that Mr. Fernandez oftentimes goes to the Potomac address more than one time in a single day? Would that help in your layering?
Not really. I mean, it shows a pattern of life, right? That may be good for an investigator to know. But for me, I'm looking at finite periods of time, showing where the devices are and where they move as best as I can.
But you would agree with me, it gives the jury some perspective that he goes there more than one time in a single day, consistent with what you mapped, right?
I don't know that it pertains to my mapping. It's you can make whatever arguments you see fit.
Thank you, sir. I'll do that. And then later in the day, he goes back to the address for a short period of time, correct? Mr. Fernandez goes back to the Potomac address.
Yes.
Slide 35, Your Honor. But now, would you tell the jury, this time you believe the data shows that Mr. Fernandez gets to the rental property that he owns and Mr. Tenon is there, correct?
So between 4 and 4:29:25, Mr. Tenon's device is there.
I know, but let's break that down.
Okay.
Mr. Tenon leaves the property, doesn't he?
He does.
And he leaves before Mr. Fernandez leaves the property, correct?
Before his device does, yes.
Before his device does. Another example of when Mr. Fernandez is at the Potomac address and Mr. Tenon is not at the Potomac address, correct?
I would replace their names with their phones, but yes.
You would do the devices, because you maintain people are with their devices, right?
Usually, but
Okay.
we talked about this earlier, yes.
Yeah, all right. On the evening, moving to the 16th, which is the day of the homicide, let's go around slide 39. Okay. There's a lot of data on these slides. Would you agree at some point in time, and this is real talk, simple, I'm not trying to confuse it, it looks and it appears that Mr. Fernandez left his residence in the early afternoon or late, the early evening, around 5 o'clock. He travels west on Beach Boulevard. He turns around, he travels east on Beach Boulevard and drives home. Would you agree that that's pretty consistent with all of the slides from that time period?
That's a good way to put it.
I'm sorry?
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you. And now, again, no one's ever provided you any evidence that Mr. Fernandez left his home on the evening of the homicide, correct?
Left his home at what time frame? On the 16th?
Yeah, during the homicide. After he gets back from the Beach Boulevard, he goes west, then he goes east, he comes home. You have no surveillance that puts him outside of his home.
No.
You have no eyewitnesses that put him outside of his home.
No, not to my knowledge.
So you talk about TA records and that there could be a gap in the TA records and that it could be that his phone was off during the time of the homicide. That's what you told the jury yesterday.
It's possible.
Possible. You also told the jury that these are all just snapshots in time, correct?
They are.
You also know, and I'm going to use your words, there can be blocks of time where network engineers just don't record time in advance for a particular market area.
That's true.
And you also know that when you got all the records that you've used to compile this data, it came with a warning, correct?
Yes.
If I just may have a moment, Your Honor, I got to switch gears. I don't have the highlighted one from open. This is the warning that you received from T-Mobile?
It's a note on interpreting timing advance records. Yes, I've seen it or read it.
Would you read the first paragraph to the jury, please?
Your response includes timing advance records. TA records are not call records. TA records are specialized historical location records. They are based on tower registrations and are not dependent on a voice call, text message, or data session. TA records are stored by market as defined by T-Mobile Engineering. TA records are retained for 0 to 90 days. Retention varies by market. Timing advance data may not be available in every market, portion of a market, or for every IMSI, which is an account-specific number for a user on their network. And even if call records are found, there may be times when no timing advance records are available. Please exercise caution in using these records for investigative or prosecutorial purposes.
You are, in fact, using these for prosecutorial purposes.
Absolutely. And what they mean there is you need to know,
Actually,
understand them, and they're gracious enough to come and provide training directly from their network engineers to FBI CAST and other units.
And in their training, because you've already testified to it, you tell the juries that there are times where, I'm going to use your words, there are blocks of times where the network engineers just don't record timing advance for a particular market area. Those are your words.
Yes.
And this is what we're talking about, one of those times between approximately 7:10 and 8:20 p.m., right?
It could be, but I don't know that for sure.
Of course. So now let's go to the slide where it sort of shows the desolate time period that the prosecutor talked about at great length yesterday evening. This is showing that there is activity, TA records around 209, 210.
709, 710.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 2 being the month, 709 to 710, and then there's a gap.
Yes.
Between 820. That's what you were talking about. That's what T-Mobile's talking about, right?
Could be, possibly.
Okay, so now let's go. And this is it. This is the slide they showed you yesterday, where it just slide number 42, where it just shows like no pink, and it looks like nothing happened, right? This is a representative that there's no TA records during 7:11 to 8:19 p.m. That's the slide that you developed, correct?
As well as the note shows there's no outgoing or incoming text messages during the time frames noted.
Okay. Again, you don't know if he's connected to his home Wi-Fi, correct?
I don't know.
And let's go down to the slide that shows a bunch of TA records on the night of the homicide. Slide 49. So on this exhibit that you put together, different than the desolate one where it just shows nothing, you put all these TA records on the right-hand side, correct?
There are a lot of timing advance records, yes.
But let's focus on the top. There's a timing advance at 9:11:04, correct?
Yes.
And there's not another one until 10:02, correct?
That's correct.
That's approximately a 52-minute section where there are no timing advance records, correct?
Yes.
And if you made a slide, if you wanted to, which you didn't, but if I asked you to, and I'm just going to ask the jury to visualize it, a slide, if the crime had occurred at 9:30, just for a moment, are you following me?
Yes.
If the crime occurred at 9:30, you could make an identical slide to the one I just asked you that say between 9:11:04 and 10:02 p.m., and it would look identical. There would be no TA records, correct?
Correct. There's no calls or text messages during that time frame either.
So when the government asked you yesterday, and Ms. Stifler said something to the effect of, and it just happens to be that during the time of the homicide, there's no TA records, it was based on the slide that shows nothing, correct?
Is just, that is what it is. There's no records during that time.
And it is what it is, that there's no records between 9:11 and 10:02 p.m., right? Just is what it is. There are no records between that time period. And that's not something Mr. Fernandez can control, is it?
So potentially, yes. In some respects, you can not make phone calls. You can not use data. You can turn the phone off and not have connectivity. But there is this other potential reason with the network not recording timing in advance, which it would explain lack of timing in advance. It wouldn't necessarily explain the other data sets, but that's why I pointed out reasons for both yesterday, and you're pointing them out again. And those are the possibilities and the reasons behind them.
Okay. You just don't know, right?
No.
May I just have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Agent Blythe, do you see that there's a timing advance gap starting at 12:43 a.m. on the 17th?
About a 30-minute time frame.
Yeah, between 12:43:32 and 1:16 a.m. 14, and I'm referring to the same slide, Your Honor, slide 49.
That sort of gap or lack of timing in advance for a short period of time, 30 minutes, let's say, could be the phone being somewhat idle. Text messages, voice calls, using data, cellular data can generate those, as well as signaling when the phone's moving. But while the phone's just sitting there idle, there may be a little bit less.
Or I guess it could be argued that he turned his phone off and back on again, right?
It's possible.
Did you know law enforcement was there at approximately 12:36 that night? That's when they arrived?
I don't know when they arrived.
Okay. The jury heard and they'll make their determination, but I'm going to represent to you it was somewhere around 12:36 that they arrived to give the death notification to Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez, okay?
Okay.
And they were there past the 12:43 hour. So again, if Detective Burrell has testified that Mr. Fernandez wasn't playing with his phone, he wasn't fumbling with his phone, it would be likely that Mr. Fernandez did not turn his phone off at that time, right?
I wasn't there. I don't know if he had access to his phone, had it in his hand, in his pocket, or if it's sitting on the nightstand. I don't know.
All right, and then we talked about Pennsylvania, so I'm going to move on. And then you put some graphs together at the end that show a few different ways to visualize what you thought were some important historical pieces of information about when he uses his phone and when he doesn't. Is that a fair description?
It's just pattern of life is showing in a benign way just when the device is used more by frequency when the device is in use based on the call detail records.
That's what I was going to ask you about, based off call detail records, right?
Yes.
None of these charts factor in Wi-Fi whatsoever.
No.
So,
well, yeah, so text messages are indicated in the records. Calls go in the records even if they're over Wi-Fi. It's not including data sessions.
it's not including data sessions. You didn't factor in Wi-Fi into this equation whatsoever.
Well, a lot of the records are there, whether the phone's using Wi-Fi or not, in the call detail records.
I think my question was, you did not factor what's happening when he's connected to Wi-Fi during these time periods at all.
So again, that's why I was clear. It's based on the call detail records, and it doesn't necessarily account for other usages of the phone that aren't incorporating the cellular network.
Like gaming.
Oh, like gaming?
Gaming, like data session.
Correct.
The jury's learned that Mr. Fernandez was a big gamer. Did you know that?
No.
And I'm sorry, Your Honor, may I just have one more moment with my colleagues?
Yes.
I have no further questions for the witness at this time, but I just need a minute to clean up my mess.
Sure. Ms. Stifler, do you have redirect?
Just 2 questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you want to do it from counsel's table?
That would be fine.
Okay. Did you need the?
I might use just one of the slides quickly.
All right.
They don't have to wait
If
for
you
me.
could give them a moment.
I'll just use the Elmo. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I won't. These maps.
I'm trying to show a fair and accurate, reasonable representation visually of where the location of the phones were and the movement of those devices with the level of precision warranted by the data set.
So you speak for the data,
Yes.
and you don't have a position when it comes to the data. You map it as it's provided to you.
Yes.
One last question. You had a couple different types of data, in this case, timing advanced, cellular location data, and Google location data. In your career, have you ever mapped location data that you obtained from the download of a cellular device?
Yes.
What types of location data are available on a cellular device itself? Not from the provider, but right from the phone, plug it in and download it.
Right, so it's the same source that Google's getting the locations from. It's just transmitted to Google, like with the Henry Tenon 53. But the phone has several options to generate a estimated location. It could be the GPS receiver on the phone. It could be what's called Wi-Fi based locations, or the phone can see Wi-Fi access points around it, see the signal strength, and then estimate where its location is based on the location of known Wi-Fi access points around them. Third, it could be Bluetooth technology or cellular technology. The phone can see what cell phone towers it gets a signal from around it and can estimate a location as well.
Is that type of data more precise, similar to the Google location data you had for Henry Tenon 53 at Gmail?
Certainly the GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth sourced locations, yes, those would be typically more precise. Cellular is just going to be similar to cell site in that it's a broader estimated location.
So if you had the ability, if data was available on Mr. Fernandez's phone, with location data, it's possible you could more precisely map the location of his device during some of these time periods,
Yes.
if that data existed and was available to you.
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Anything further for this witness? Just on those points, correct? Okay.
Do you know if on the night of the homicide, when they gave a death notification, they asked for Mr. Fernandez's phone?
I don't.
Do you know when his phone was collected via warrant?
I do not.
Certainly law enforcement can get warrants, they can stop people, and they can collect their devices, correct?
Yes.
And generally, the suspect doesn't know when that's going to happen, correct?
Your Honor, this is beyond the scope.
Now, this is directly to her asking questions about other people's phones and other investigations, what information he could use if he
All right,
had it.
stop. I'll overrule the objection. You can ask.
Thank you, Your Honor. People don't generally know when their devices are going to get seized.
No.
And in this particular case, a warrant was issued approximately 11 months after the homicide for Mr. Fernandez's phone. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
and that's when they got it, 11 months later, right? If that's true. That's when you would have had that ability to look at that phone when law enforcement seizes it, right?
Yes.
And in your expertise, nowadays, people are extremely reliant on their cell phones, correct?
Yes.
New cell phones come out regularly, correct?
Yes.
And people get new cell phones fairly often.
Every couple years.
Some people more than that, right?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anything further, Ms. Stifler? May the witness be excused or
Be excused.
subject to recall or no?
Sure, we'll do them subject to recall, just in
Right.
case.
Agent, you understand what that means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can step down now. Please stay in contact with the attorneys.
Yes, ma'am.
The next witness, is it a longer or shorter witness?